Howdy, gang. We are here. Where? Here and there. I'm, of course, on the West Coast. John Twigg is joining me from the UK, the humid, muggy UK. That's unusual, unfortunate. So today's the big day. SpaceX earnings, the first ever public earnings call, the first ever public earnings numbers will be posted. This is going to be fascinating. And we've got a whole bunch to talk about before then. We're going to go through the investor questions. We're going to go through the investor concerns, and we may be joined by some more interesting folks. John Gibbs, professor, the doc himself, Dr. Know-It-All, will be trying to join us. He is at sea, which makes it challenging. So we'll see if he makes it or not. Nick Gibbs will be joining us in about 45 minutes. And Matt Smith should be joining us at some point if he's able. It is not confirmed. But I've put out quite a few invitations to folks I find interesting and valuable, and we'll see how many of them show up. That is the poll question. If you'd like to participate in the poll, why would you though? The poll is, how many we getting? 2 to 4 seems to be the current consensus. If we're counting me, we're already at 2. But if we get one more, we can rule out the 1 to the 1. We can rule that out. All right, guys. So why don't we take a look at the stock? Oh my gosh, the stock, it's so far down. Is it though? Is it? Because it isn't. It's not down. Today's numbers, quite good. It's up 10% today alone, which for the 5-day is exciting. For the 1 month, less exciting. And for the all-time, I don't know. It's fine. Getting to within $9 of the original pre-IPO price. Not too bad. Kind of surprising since in the last week or month or two, no real news has changed, although they are having some fun towing the Starship back to port, which was not something that was on anyone's bingo card as far as I'm aware. What do you think of that soft landing, by the way, John?
I apologize for that soft landing. That was me with your YouTube channel going live.
Oh, I see.
But I know what you mean. Yes. What did anybody expect that? It was amazing, wasn't it? And it's still on its way home, isn't it?
So if you'd have told me, by the way, it could fall over without exploding, I would believe you. I'd say that's not, I mean, it's fallen over pretty softly before. If you'd have then added, oh, and it won't sink, I'd have said, that's surprising.
Well, I guess where the fuel was, there's a lot of air there now, a lot of space. So
yes, but hollow. It only takes a small rupture to allow water in.
And of course, as the engines get put out by the water, if there's any fuel still in the system, it's not the kind of thing you want to be doing with rockets, I guess.
I have limited experience with rockets myself.
Yes.
Which is to say, none. I would assume about as much as you, perhaps even less.
Because I doubt it. I doubt it.
Okay.
I keep away from the fireworks, never mind the big kind.
Oh, even more exciting. So what we're looking at here, CNBC, the brilliant and talented Laura Kolodny, I say jokingly, has actually put together some interesting stuff to look at. Here's what the analysts are expecting: revenue of about $7 billion, loss of about 26 pennies a share. So, that's kind of the benchmark. Last year.
Is any of that relevant to the price, or is it all future based?
I cannot imagine how it would be relevant. I think today it's pure speculation, because what on earth are you placing the value on? What so launches have value. The company will make tremendous money from the value of launches, but by tremendous money, I mean not that much relative to its market cap. It is a small part of the financials of the business, but a critical part because it enables the other things. Starlink is expected to turn profitable perhaps this year, which is amazing. It's a very new venture. You look at HughesNet, the satellite provider that was covering North America prior to SpaceX, and they have lost over half of their subscribers because their service is terrible. Their speeds are poor. Their ping is ridiculously slow, and their data caps are limited. That's because they're in geostationary orbit. Geosynchronous orbit is very limited and covers a very broad area, meaning you can't give everyone good coverage. You just can't.
And it's much higher, isn't it? So you're inherently slower.
vastly. It's like a full second of ping. That is catastrophic for a lot of uses. That would make
so Elon won't be playing games on that, will he? It won't work well on those video games.
You would struggle with the latency playing anything other than chess. So there would be, so with that, that's what the technology supported at the time. I don't blame HughesNet for going the direction they did. It was the only direction to go at the time. They certainly weren't going to blanket the planet in low Earth orbit satellites. It couldn't have been done then. But you can blame them. Go ahead.
Is that the one that announced they were going bankrupt just a few days ago?
That's right. That's the one.
Yeah.
And but what you can blame them for is their catastrophically terrible customer service. I've heard nothing but complaints. So, hey, what are you going to do?
And I guess some of those customers might be a small boost moving across to Starlink.
Well, certainly. It's, they've lost 700,000 subscribers. Where do you think they went? They didn't.
But I mean, even the remaining ones might now move if it closes down.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think the objective is to close down. There's still utility there. It's just not great utility. They have to rethink everything. SpaceX first ever earnings report comes with stock under pressure. We have a lot of unlocks coming up. The first one in 2 days. There are people who will be able to begin for the first time selling their shares 2 days from now, or at least 20% of them. This report did not age well. It said that it's down 30% from its $150 market debut. That was more true before the market opened than it is now. Still, that's okay. But there are a lot of unlocks coming soon that could exert additional downward pressure on the stock value. Do you own a SpaceX stock?
I don't. And the thing I have seen, which I don't totally understand, was that the initial offering was a small percentage of the shares that will ultimately be available. So that, to me, in a very simplistic mind, so you're about to put me straight, would mean there's a lot more to sell in the future at various points of time.
Yes. A small float is a great way to get a very high market cap when there's high demand. But what they wanted to do was raise a certain amount of money. They did, and then a little bit, tens of billions of dollars. I think 85 billion was the target. That will buy them runway. That will give them the ability to ramp Starship, to ramp data centers, at least terrestrial ones. On to the question of what about orbital ones? Don't know. Not my area of expertise. I'm of the opinion that the financials may never make sense. If they do, they'll launch them. If it doesn't, they won't. It's pretty straightforward. But if you could build a completely self-contained micro data center in space, you could also build one on Earth. You would just need more batteries and less launch. So, and then you would inherit the ability to fix it when it breaks in ways that you simply could not in space.
Well, I think, isn't it the space and the planning and all of, whereas in space, you don't need to plan. You just unfold those solar panels.
If you're off grid, you can put them anywhere. So that's if you've ever driven through, especially the US Southwest, there is a lot of open space that would not be negatively impacted by the presence of solar panels and a little shipping container full of compute. And there are a lot of counties in which you don't even need planning for something like that. The permit process would be like a day because what's there to mitigate? So, and the US is quite large in terms of surface area. So that would also help. It is not as large as space. Citation needed, but I'm pretty confident. So we will find out.
There's a lot of space out there.
There is, and the crazy thing about space is they keep building more of it. Hey, there's going to be an earnings call today in quite a bit of time from now, starting at 3:30 p.m. Central. So that's in an hour. But in the meantime, there are questions that have been asked of the company. By the way, we should take a quick second and acknowledge some of the folks in the chat. We've got JD Luke in here, who is regularly here. Welcome back, JD. We've got a flash bry. Some might appreciate a long ping. Yeah. We are, I'll just put that up. So we're going to have a Roadster in space update. That's hilarious. I don't think so. I think it would be a poor use of time, but maybe. It hasn't hit anything. FSD full space driving works. Oh, yeah, that's the update on the Roadster. Let's see. Should put a Cybercab in space. And then let's see. Cheers. And we've got suddenly buying empty desert land far from anywhere seems like a good price compared to other assets. Indeed. And yes, Roadster updates would be hilarious. So let's look back at this real quick. Hi, team. Has the team? Yes. You're going to say something?
I was just going to say, what's the format going to be the same? Is it going to be the same as the Tesla one? Is it going to be bad sound, other things, or I presume we're getting no video? It'll just be voice.
I assume so, but we'll find out. It's a little embarrassing already that Tesla, a very tech-forward company, has only made their earnings calls 15% better over the last 10 years. They're still really bad. I don't know if that's something they care about. I don't know if it's something the institutional investors care about. I don't think the retail investors will hesitate to buy because of it. But I think if they had it in a prettier format, the opportunity for clips from it to go viral would be greater. Whether that's good or bad is another matter.
Launchers get very good video. They must have all the equipment for excellent setup. So surely they could repurpose it for a couple of hours.
Yes, we know because we've seen the footage. Even if Elon were to tip over and crash, the footage would be fantastic.
Yes.
I don't know how that works with humans. Has the team thought about what possibilities there are with your mascot, Asteroid? Whether it's starting a foundation for kids in its name, helping kids learn about space. Kids are our future, and Asteroid would be a fun and easy way to help. Now, at first I thought, well, that's ridiculous. What a silly question. Then I thought about it and realized NASA coming to my school when I was a wee lad was instrumental in fostering my love of space. Maybe this is a good idea. What do you think?
You're asking me or the person that wrote it?
You. I'm asking you.
Do you know, I'm not sure the UK has had a large record of space launches and various things. I went to a reasonably underwhelming space museum in Birmingham once, but that wasn't the most exciting. I think we're kind of hanging on to your tails to see what's happening, as is the rest of the world. I saw an announcement by the EU a few days ago that they're going to put 10 billion euros into AI. And now it's a different subject, but it's the scale that matters. And they were going to hope that that would bring in another 20 billion and turn Europe into the AI continent. Of course, it got lots of derision that, of course, even OpenAI on their own have got hundreds of billions. Right. So I think in terms of space launches, we're going to watch yours. I
think people outside of industries look at an industry and assume that because you make it look easy, it is easy. And we see that with a lot. And politicians are notoriously guilty of assuming things work a certain way without any idea of what's actually going on. You'll see them pass new laws that are designed to fix one little thing while breaking 10 big things. So, well, I mean, good job, but it didn't help. We do have a great comment here. I think Gwen Shotwell will demand top-notch first earnings report presentation. I hope so. Gwen is very well composed, very smart, and knows what's going on within SpaceX, at least, better than anyone.
Do you think this might be how many SpaceX calls like this will we get separate from Tesla? Do you think they will merge?
I don't think there's a reason to merge in the short term, and I think that now that the majority of Tesla shareholders are institutional, I think the institutional investors would vote against it, unless the premium was something ridiculous. Of course, if the premium is high enough, if you're going to get 3x, 4x returns in the process, then maybe. But the analysts understand that a merger would end shareholder voting. And I don't believe institutional investors are ready to give up their votes. Not yet. And Elon says, well, I just want to know that whatever I do, I can't be ousted by a board. And my question is, what are you planning to do that would make your 20+% control of Tesla insufficient to retain your seat? I don't know. But
yeah, but I was thinking the mechanics. Of course, we've got 2 earnings calls within weeks. There's going to be a large overlap with Terafab, various projects that might be joint. So I was just wondering, how do they manage the mechanics of that?
Because companies have done big projects together before without merging. Panasonic and Tesla have had a long, successful partnership inside the same building. Not quite.
I don't mean in terms of the actual work. I mean in terms of, does Tesla announce something, or do they wait to the SpaceX announcement, or there's going to be, because they have rules about what they can say, don't they? So it's going to put a little bit of extra stress in terms of who says what. And then will Gwen lead this, or will Elon take over?
All good questions. In the comments, what do you guys think? Baby Asteroid is already making a difference through charity around the world. Could SpaceX take it even further? I mean, same question twice. SpaceX has some legendary vehicle names. Would you ever allow the public to name a Starship, even knowing there's a 99% chance it becomes Shippy McShipface?
And would that be any worse than the names that Elon's given some of them? I still love you, etc.
Well, those are from a book.
Yes.
Yeah, but I would say that, you remember, Starship was originally called the BFR, and Gwen said, no, it isn't. It's not. It's not.
It's not very commercial, is it, that name?
Yeah, we're a business here. I appreciate the joke. It's the Starship.
Yes.
When can we expect to see more footage of the human landing system? Do you think there might be restrictions on showing it imposed by NASA? Because it is a government program. I don't know. Can we paint the rocket pink?
I'm not sure why you'd want to.
Because it's funny, and because it would potentially make it look more organic.
And what would it come back looking like afterwards? If it's
a charred organ, naturally. Well, you can't paint the tiles. Tiles are a color because of function, so you can only paint the back. The back remained unscathed. So
what about that rumor the other day? I think you liked it on X that they were going to use old Nokia sets.
No, instead of heat tiles, why not just completely cover the belly in Nokia 3310s? They're indestructible. If they were manufactured, we know they still exist. There's got to be enough of them. That would be.
They must have a half-life of thousands of years, you would think. Yeah.
You would think. So JD thinks not painting it pink. Oh, good. So just leave it nude. You're getting the spirit. Yeah. Okay.
It's lucky that batteries don't work in space, isn't it? Really?
Why?
I mean, they're just too heavy, aren't they?
Well, yes, and batteries don't. I mean, batteries, do they even exist? I think it's a conspiracy. It's fantastic to see all these countries deploying vast amounts of grid scale energy storage, because if one country did it or one company was making them, you could argue that it's a fad or a fraud, or it doesn't work, or it won't work as intended. But with everybody using them from a variety of manufacturers and it working to various degrees, Tesla has at this point an advantage because of their auto bidder, which does better than the competition.
And all the other clever things it does, like starting very quickly when they need the demand. Getting the voltage right as it changes, things come, all sorts of clever technical things. You said a vast amount of batteries, but you're going to have a better idea at the numbers. We're going to need many, many more.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But the good news on that front is sodium ion batteries are already being deployed for grid scale and automotive
Yeah.
use. Uh, and lithium of various chemistries is being deployed as well. And additional methods are coming online all the time. And there are a lot of different chemistries out there. They're just, I was at North America Battery Show and I talked with a booth that helps you pick what kind of battery is right for your application. They had spider diagrams that
Mm.
would say, well, this one is, low cycle life, but very high energy density. This one is more expensive. And at a different booth, a teardown company like Monroe and Associates, I asked them, so because they had 4 or 5 different automotive batteries out there torn half apart. And I said, well, which one's the best? And he goes, there is no best. The best for what? I go, okay, well,
Yeah.
let's do it the other way. What's the worst and why is it the Nissan Leaf? And he said, no, Nissan Leaf is not the worst. Do you want something that's air cooled? They're air cooled. Do you want something that's cheap? They're cheap. Do you want something that's uh, reliable in a temperate climate? It's reliable in a temperate climate without all the other potential points of failure or high
Up to a
costs.
point. That's if you don't want to charge twice in the same day on a long journey.
Well, and that's
That
the
was
thing
one of
is,
the, yeah,
yeah. But if what you want is the cheapest run
yeah,
around town battery, it is the clear winner, the Gen
yeah.
1, Gen 2 Leaf battery. So different use cases. Well, I mean, LFP, the energy density used to be such that you didn't really want to put it in a car. It's gotten better. The new
And we've
LFP
got the
batteries are,
first LFP battery packs from Tesla, haven't we? Being deployed now.
the first in-house LFP packs. The
Yes,
mega
yes,
packs,
that's what I mean.
yeah, the mega
Yeah.
packs were already being purchased from suppliers. I'm not allowed to say which ones, but if I gave you a handful of guesses, somebody would probably get it right. Uh, and that's a way of saying everybody watching this would get it right. But there are, um, but yes, the in-house ones. The problem with those are they're not the latest generation. China has placed restrictions on export of the latest generation cells and the equipment to make the latest generation cells. So Tesla can't just build their own flash charge LFP factory. They would have to reinvent it and do so without stepping on patents. So there
Do
are,
you want the latest hot news from Sawyer Merritt?
of
As of
course,
3 minutes ago,
yeah.
SpaceX has just announced it's partnering with NVIDIA to design their Starmind A1 satellite compute
Hmm,
payload.
hmm.
I wonder why it says compute payload rather than chips. Is it the whole infrastructure of the whole mini
Oh,
cluster that fit?
it might include the cooling engineering.
The whole
So
thing, yeah.
might. Uh, NVIDIA, obvious logical partner for that. They have some experience with designing chips ideal for AI compute. And unlike the in-house fabricated chips, these are ready to go kind of whenever. I would guess 6 to 12 months at the latest versus, years. Uh, and if they work in space, they'll work on the ground. So you could also test it by putting one at the South Pole over the summer. It gets continuous daylight. Uh, I'm and it is researched technically, but it'd be interesting to see. Oh, convince him to drill down to the core, all the iron and nickel he'll ever need.
That's a very
That's
hot idea.
yeah, that's got some yeah. Metal short supply, fossil fuels infinite. See, I told you, JD is a gem. He's a fountain of insanity, just like us. We're all crazy, by the way, all of us in our own ways. It's just that a lot of us within this community happen to share similar flavors of madness. It works really well.
An hour ago, we've got Kalshi. That's one of the betting sites, is it?
Yes.
Announcing a 40% chance that the merger will be mentioned.
Oh, I
Not
think that's
announced, but mentioned.
yeah. I'd say yeah, getting close to 50-50. I agree. It might be, it might not. Kalshi famously does not like being called a betting site. And I think there's an easy way to address that. Stop being one. Uh, but it's they're being sued over it. In fact, uh, I want a Model Y L with a Blade 2 battery, the new flash charging Blade battery. Me too. Me too. That would
How much
be
faster is that?
0 to 97% in 8 minutes.
Wow. Does that take a lot of megawatts?
It
A
takes
big
a
charger.
megawatt. Yeah, like a megawatt, maybe 1.2. It's a bit of juice. BYD is already deploying those across China. They're always paired with on-site storage, because if you have more than one car trying to pull a megawatt at once, it can be a bit. So they, of course, will have very fat connections to the grid, but they also have substantial on-site energy storage.
Would you say we've reached the point that we don't need any more? That's fast enough. Why would you need more?
I would absolutely say that. I'd say, because it's 0 to 80 in like 4 or 5 minutes. That's I can't go inside and get my snacks and use the restroom in that time. And but it's only, 2 minutes or 3 minutes to gas up my car, right? But you have to stand there and then go to the bathroom. At 5 minutes to 80%, you're already quicker than gas. Just quicker.
And is that stable over many cycles to do it that fast, or is it an exception?
It is apparently stable. CATL has that same sort of speed available. I covered this in my Monday news show, that they will warranty. If you're a manufacturer and you buy that battery and put it in that car, that flash charging battery, they warranty it for 1,000,000 kilometers. So
I could imagine putting some of those in a power station, that if you've got a big gas generator that you can't stop and the demand goes down, that could soak up a lot of power quite quickly, that you could then save until you needed it a little later.
Yes. I don't know how critical that would be for that, but the reality is those LFP cells are now lasting kind of forever. Kilometers,
A
what's
million
that?
miles.
That could be anything. Well, it's 1,000,000 kilometers would be about 600,000 miles. So it would be, it would outlive the car.
A little more.
Absolutely. Yeah. We round. We just round, John. Let's see. Here's a question for you, John. When do you think SpaceX will attempt fuel transfer between starships? Do you think it'll happen in 27?
What's getting really exciting is that heat shield looked really good. I mean, what are they going to do with the one that they bring back? Do you think, will they just have a look? Is it possible that they could, it might be a mistake to try again?
I suspect the salt water would have had too much time to permeate to risk reuse.
But the reason, what we're seeing is such rapid progress that we're going to see a lot of launches quite quickly now. So they're going to get through a lot of tests. So I can't see why it's not the end of this year, early next year even. But I'm always over optimistic. I wouldn't trust anything I say on these things. But
no one does.
No, that's good. But we could easily see them putting one round the moon for a round trip just to try things out. We could see. We presumably we're going to see Starlink, the new V version, up there very soon, because they already put the test ones up. I think we're just going to see I can't see why we can't get one every 2 weeks relatively quickly.
Dr. Frey wants to know, who provides the megawatt charging stations for BYD? Do they do it themselves? Yes, they do it themselves. They are vertically integrated, similar to Tesla, except even more so, where they own many of the mines and they own the ships at sea. So yes, they build the station, they design the elements, they build the batteries for the station, they do it all. They're like the Hyundai of China, where Hyundai.
But don't they have far more staff than Tesla? A lot less automation.
They have a lot of automation, but they're so vertical that they have 10 times the headcount. Roughly 10 times the headcount.
But you would imagine that would mean they couldn't scale quite so fast, because they've got to find. But there's a lot of people in China, I guess. So
they do have a few people in China, I have read. Again, citation needed, but I'm reasonably confident that is accurate. But they are heavily automated like others. It's just that they're in so many things. They build monorails. They build trucks. They build their own. I think they make their own glass now. It's pretty much just the tires. It might be the tires and the glass are the only things they don't make in-house. It's kind of a point of contention among the industry in China because you're not really participating in this the way others are. You're not making all the other suppliers and whatnot stronger because you're avoiding them. And they're like, yeah, but we got to do what we can to drive the cost down, and we're doing it. So BYD sales are doing reasonably well in international markets.
Here in the UK, we're seeing a lot more of them in the last few months. They really seem to be taking off. Not in the same way as the Roadster, but they're selling a few. Are we going to see a Roadster soon?
That would be, so I thought it was fun. After Elon's interview with The Economist, they said, boy, they really asked him hard questions. I said, nah, those are all questions he's happy to answer, even if he acts angry about it. If I was doing the interview, one question would be, come on, man, what happened? Where did you turn wrong on the Roadster? It's been almost 10 years. Surely we need to, at least refund the deposits. It's crazy.
It was $250,000, wasn't it, for some of the top end ones?
For the foundation or launch or whatever they were calling the original 250 of them or 200 of them. And had those people put that money into Tesla, they'd probably be $10 million instead. But if you've got 250,000 to tie up in a car reservation, I don't know if you need to worry too much about where you're getting your next meal. So there are a lot of concerns. There are a lot of questions I would have asked, I would have raised, that would have answered, that would have been uncomfortable.
But of course, that's got the SpaceX tie-in with the coal gas thrusters that similar to the satellites used to maneuver, isn't it? So
potentially, we don't know what it is, and that's the beauty. Is right now it can be anything your heart imagines, because why couldn't it? So
it's mythical.
It's mythical. It is a mythical creature. With over $2.8 billion tied to lunar landing contracts and the date of delivery rapidly approaching, has SpaceX started work on lunar hardware? Surely the answer to that is yes, but if so, will an update with images of some of the hardware occur? Will it? Yes. When? I don't know. But I don't know if I would believe the premise that they haven't started working on the lunar lander. I would be surprised if they hadn't already been working on designs for parts of the contract that they have not been assigned, because they have low confidence in their competitors to actually fulfill the bid. And when the time crunch happens and the other participants say, look, our part of it is not ready to go, SpaceX can just step in and say, we're ready. Why don't you just cut your losses?
What's the chance that SpaceX land on the moon totally independently to some extent because of all the other delays elsewhere?
High. I would say they're high. They're already doing so much of the heavy lifting. Why? What's left? So I would say the odds
are... the gravity is very low on the moon, so it's not going to be as hard as landing on Earth. You're not going to need as much strength and in the legs and things, I guess.
Right. 1/6. Your touchdown is very, if you've watched the lunar descent with Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, you can see that the descent is very gentle. Pretty much you just lose altitude until you get right to the ground, and then you just jam on the brakes by
and as we've just seen there, they land incredibly softly now. They've got the landing of Starship just right anyway, so they're improving that all the time. It's like same as FSD, isn't it? It's going to be all the nines are getting knocked off at the moment.
Yes, we just have to get that booster Raptors relit situation sorted out, and then we'll be good to go, I imagine.
Yeah.
And of course, it'll continue iterating and improving. It always does.
When is the next Starship?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Someone in the chat
not long, is it? I don't think we've got a date yet, have we?
I don't think we have a date. The real trick is we don't know how flat the landing area will be, and it's a very tall object. So I don't know how easy it is to ensure it remains upright.
What about those? What did they call that little capsule that they announced a couple of months ago for dropping cargo with parachutes?
Oh, moonfall, skyfall,
Sky,
something.
yeah, something like. Why not drop a bit of equipment with some Optimus? They can sweep the runway.
Yeah. Yeah. And the problem that the Apollo mission had was that they didn't land quite where they planned to land. They were outside of the area they were hoping for, and they were concerned that they were going to encounter uneven terrain. SpaceX is very good at landing on target, as we've noticed, with flaps burning through, with ultra wide diversions just to see if we can get back on course. They still land right in front of the buoy every time, regardless
But
of damage.
you wouldn't need much in terms of rocks to tip you over, would you? Because it's very tall. So even a small angle would make a difference.
Variable, the legs are variable. Maybe it surveys the surface with LiDAR before it touches down and adjusts accordingly, or adjusts on the fly. Hey, man, I don't work here. So that will be interesting to see. Guys, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. There's a lot of competition in this space, but none as low-key and personable as us, because we're here for...
Is Loki coming on as well?
No.
You said?
No.
Oh.
I misspoke. I did not invite James. It's a little out of his area of expertise, and I assumed he would be working at this hour. So unfortunate, but parachutes don't work on the moon. They do, just not to slow you down. They can still get you tangled up. That's something. You have to count that.
That's true, but they've got the thrusters as well, haven't they? So I wonder if that's enough to slow them down. Yes, there's no atmosphere. You're going to come in very fast, aren't you, without a lot of power? Yeah, true.
Yeah. All those Roombas that can't be sold here anymore can be sent there to tidy up. LiDAR, blasphemy. No, LiDAR has its purposes. Automotive is not one of them.
I heard yesterday that the LiDAR in a Tesla is hidden away inside somewhere.
Oh, that's magical. Do you know that the Apollo accidentally landed on the wrong sound stage? Oh, there you go. Just chuck an anchor overboard, snag a crater. Yeah. I heard Nick was coming, right? That's the plan. He is hoping to appear in about 8 minutes, if possible. Smash that like. Please do.
Is he going to be pleased with what they say?
Nick is, I think
upset
does he?
With people, doesn't he? Wasn't he getting upset with Tesla's earnings call?
I don't know. I don't recall that, but on earnings days, I'm generally so busy that I can't really worry about other people. Where are my children on those days? No one knows. Science cannot answer some questions. That's one of them. And in about 10-ish minutes, we should be expecting to see some information. I'm going to share this. Investor Relations, the webcast, add to calendar, Q&A. You can see we're kind of doing all that stuff. But I assume we'll be seeing, I can do this, but
we've dropped a couple of dollars in the last few minutes. Don't know why.
That's not necessarily good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
X is very quiet at the moment. Not much happening until it starts.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to do that. Interesting. Okay. It's very weird.
Are you looking for the actual
feed? Well, the actual webcast.
Okay.
But we'll find
nothing there yet.
Well, yes. It's in, JD points out it's in 37 minutes, but I wanted to just go to that page, and I just assume it'll be this page. I do appreciate that they have a picture of the moon that makes it look like a Death Star, an asymmetrical Death Star, which is great.
Where does that,
that is
obviously one is shadow, but what's the other line going
solar
across it?
panels. Solar panels on what I assume is AI compute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you go to the moon in a few years?
The moon, maybe. I don't know. Not to the surface of it, I don't think. Maybe just
for
around it.
a bit of a jaunt, a few days up in space.
Yeah. Whip around it, come back.
How much of a market is that for SpaceX if they charge $1 million a week or something for a few people?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's
probably not a lot of dollars, but it'd make for a lot of influencer videos.
It would. And I'm still thinking Tom Cruise is likely to be the first actor to film an entire movie in space. Maybe not an entire movie,
there.
but
the
middle 30 to 60 minutes of a movie. You would just have to rehearse like crazy so that you could actually do it. You know, Apollo 13 was filmed largely on the Vomit Comet.
If they got Boeing to bring them back, they could accidentally stay for 6 months or something.
That's right. Very good. Very good point. So we are awaiting additional guests. We are awaiting. I'm going to jump over to my messages, make sure I'm not missing anybody here. I do not appear to be missing anybody.
I'm seeing AI news rather than SpaceX on X. Somebody's going to cancel Claude. It's really fascinating how fast sentiment is moving away from Anthropic towards OpenAI as new models come out. And we've got a few key things. Obviously, the space satellites, the space compute. We've got Grok 4.6 literally in what is it? 3-4 days, and then a 4.7 much faster. And as a software engineer, I'm quite excited about what Elon said a few months ago, that they're optimizing the code that they use for the harness to train, which that particular bit will probably go 10 times as fast rewritten in C and C++, rather than some of these frameworks. So I'm still not ruling out Grok when it gets to 4.75 actually catching up with some of these other models. We don't know. We know that they're going to have a lot of compute because there's is it Mini Hard, the latest one? They're coming up with all sorts of high density ways of organizing things.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. What percentage of the company's value today do you imagine is the AI side? Most? Is it most?
Well, Starlink's big. It's going to be across the world. It could take a significant chunk. That's at least guaranteed revenue, but half, maybe more. I'm guessing. I have no idea. That I don't follow that much detail, but we know that there's going to be huge amounts of compute that they're renting out to Google, Anthropic. Probably not Sam.
So JD, to answer your question on this, the webcast opening in a new window, I did see that. I did go to that window. It asked me to register as a guest, which I did. I just didn't show that window because then it has my email and personal information on it. So
I think the world is holding its breath. There is no news coming out from anybody that I'm following.
I am looking at that as well. I am seeing a similar nothing of nothingness. So that's where we're at.
I guess that's to be expected for space.
We can look at some more of these questions. Let's see. What kind of progress is the human landing system at? We've seen mock-ups and inside renders, but is there any hardware built yet? I don't know. I think we'll see that. When will you catch the first and second stage for Starship? I kind of feel like they need to finish the second tower before they can do that. And
although Starship could land somewhere significantly differently, couldn't it? It could land anywhere, and anywhere they've got the equipment. It doesn't have to be the same place.
Correct. I mean,
the booster probably goes back to the same one, I guess, because it doesn't go too high.
Right.
Yeah.
And it could quite easily, you could catch Booster in Texas and Starship in Florida.
Yeah.
I expect to see both caught next year, if not this year, next year. Starship is central to NASA's Artemis program and the human landing system. From SpaceX's perspectives, what are the remaining technical milestones and biggest schedule risks to meeting NASA's HLS requirement? And do you believe Artemis timeline is achievable? I'm going to say Artemis timeline, probably not achievable because it depends on so many different companies all executing flawlessly. And maybe not flawlessly, but with a bare minimum of flaws. And I don't think that's a reasonable expectation for the combined entirety of those companies. I think there's too many moving pieces.
Do you think that SpaceX have got a quiet plan to do everything on their own?
Yes, I think absolutely. In the background, SpaceX is saying, look, all these other guys are a bunch of goofballs. If we're going to rely on them, we're going to end up with egg on our face. Instead, let's go get some of that moon cheese, that tasty. Yeah, orbit's good, but the moon is Gouda. So let's do that. I think that's what they're working on.
I can't see how they could not do it. It would be crazy, wouldn't it? Because it only takes one element to go wrong.
Yeah. And it could be anything. It could be anything. I mean, we've seen, it was crazy. Years ago, I was on Reddit and there was a thread about SpaceX suing to get launch contracts because they're giving all the launch contracts to ULA, even though they are required to have two providers. They gave them all to ULA. SpaceX sued. SpaceX won. They're going to get some launch contracts. And I swear it was Bruno from ULA himself went on Reddit to defend it, saying, look, this company's not even real. You got to go with a trusted provider with experience and know-how. And everyone in the comments was trying to explain to him that SpaceX has already established themselves as quite serious, quite real, quite capable. Why are you talking smack? They go, and he basically said, look, come back in 3 years and we'll have this conversation again when our heavy lift is going and their Falcon 9 has been a proven disaster. And of course, that follow-up conversation didn't get to happen because
when was that?
When was that? Maybe 8-9 years ago.
Okay, some time ago. Yeah,
quite some time ago. Before I lived in this house, so I know that part at least. And it was. Then we get to see their heavy launch system, and it just doesn't go, and it doesn't go, and there's nozzle valve problem, all kinds of problems with the cryo, and then it finally gets up there, and they need a rescue home. Thank goodness we had a secondary provider who now is far and away the primary provider, because the only thing that matters is the cost to reliability ratio, and SpaceX wins on both fronts. Crazy talk.
And you'd have to say now it's the other way around, isn't it? SpaceX is the clear front runner, and everybody else is.
Oh no, that's what I mean. That exactly. We forget how complicated it is. We see another company say, we're going to go ahead and do our new, it blew up. So, well, darn it. I don't.
What about the fundamental strategy that SpaceX iterate? They blow a few up. I mean, it causes some bad headlines, but in practice, they've got so much more experience. It seems incredibly dangerous to put these billions into things you only launch once a year.
Right. So that is the big difference. If you look at SpaceX's approach to satellites, that first batch of 42 that went up, something like 5 to 7 of them failed within a month. If you can only afford one launch, you can't afford that. You need to spend 10 times more on your satellites than SpaceX did. SpaceX could learn on the job because it was literally cheaper than over designing it. And that's an advantage you have when you have patient investors with deep pockets and the best engineers.
I can't imagine that SpaceX are not running various AI on materials, improvements, lots of designs. There's incredible work going on now with the AI that that's a vertical integration that nobody else has got. I can't imagine.
So we are briefly, I believe, going to be joined by Nick Gibbs, who will share with us his wisdom. And I've got a story or two specific to him that I will find, if I can find it right there. There it is. So we will be checking that out. And while I'm here, I'm going to check if there are any other messages I am missing. I am not. Okay. So there are different elements to the company. I'm most excited to see the revenue from leasing out compute to other companies. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Wall Street is expecting, I think, $1.5 billion, $2 billion on that. We can look. Let's see here.
There was Anthropic just today have announced a $10 billion deal to rent hardware from a startup. They must be really desperate that these guys are just middlemen. They're pulling the chips. Dell are building the site for them, the computers.
Interesting.
Putting it together.
Interesting stuff.
Definitely a shortage.
So what we're looking at here, this is what Wall Street is expecting. $835 million for space, connectivity, $3.8 billion, and AI, $2.1 billion. Let's throw Nick in the mix and see.
We've just got Sawyer. We've got an announcement from Sawyer 59 seconds ago. If you switch to X.
I'm on my way. We'll find him. How are you, Nick? What's going on?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Your microphone sounds buttery and beautiful as always. We've got the earnings out. Can you believe that?
We have. There we are.
Here we go.
Are they good?
Space.
Nick brought them with him.
You brought them, Nick. Thank you. So for the quarter, space, almost $1 billion, connectivity, $4.3 billion, AI, 2.5. This is a beat. We were just showing on CNBC. Where was it? I've got it here somewhere.
It's 781 versus 681.
Yeah.
A whole billion up, which is 12.5% higher.
I mean, what's $1 billion between friends? So yeah, space was supposed to be 835, connectivity at 3.8, AI at 2. And what we're seeing is 900, almost $1 billion, 4.3 and 2.5. So that is strong revenue. Nick, what do you think? Oh, we lost him. I didn't.
He's run away.
That's how good the numbers are, or how bad. I mean, my goodness. What do I know?
What's the share price doing then? Have we got a jump?
It's after hours. Let's find out.
No, 125.33. Oh, have you got a live?
That's what I was doing. I was trying to pull up the stock.
I do see a little spike here after hours.
There we go. Here we go.
Up $3 and a change so far.
Yes. After hours at 1%.
All right.
Up to 126.
But more importantly, what's that doing to Tesla? Tesla is slightly down. That's now up. That's okay.
Okay.
Flat.
So will there be a direct connection? Will it actually affect Tesla directly?
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. We'll learn.
No, but I mean, literally, would we expect it? I know you can never tell for sure, but is there anything in these earnings that would directly affect Tesla?
Yeah, if they mentioned anything about a merger.
Absolutely, that bit, yeah.
Yeah. Earlier, Nick,
wise.
John was saying that Kalshi has it at 40% odds merger will be said during the earnings call.
Talked about. Okay. I don't think it said announced or anything.
That's what I mean. Just the word will be said.
Oh, well, I put that 100%.
Okay?
Yeah,
well, I just love 40% because it's as close to 50-50 as you can really get. Yeah, it might happen. You're correct.
I'm just comparing them from the previous 3 months. Space up from 619 to 962. That's a 50% increase. Connectivity, which I presume is Starlink, is up a whole 4,000 compared to, and of course AI, which is that renting space out. It must be the big jump, up nearly 2,000.
Yeah, that's got to be.
That's 2 billion, isn't it?
Yes,
up 2 billion nearly.
Wow.
Mass to orbit in metric tons, only 485 metric tons. Most of it for themselves. Cost of revenue, 329 for an loss from operations, $500 million. Space adjusted EBITDA, 205. Yeah. Yeah.
AMD came out. They look strong, up about 2%. A-Lab came out. They're up about 9%, 8%. And SpaceX has gone red. Down 1.7%. And Tesla has gone red, down 0.5%.
Fickle.
All right. Yeah, it's going to get interesting here.
Demonstrated the power of extreme vertical integration, delivering revenue growth of 92% year over year. Completed 2 successful V3 test flights. Closed multiple industry-leading cloud service agreements, resulting in $14.1 billion of contracted sales. Announced agreements to acquire Cursor for $60 billion to accelerate the enterprise opportunity. Released our most powerful model. Delivered all that. Okay. Total launches, 78.
That's crazy.
That's going to be well over 100, isn't it, in the year?
Without a doubt. Yeah. Let's see, 12 million subscribers, 10,000 satellites in orbit. For reference, the rest of the world combined has about 5,000. So it's like 2/3 of the compute is Starlink, or 2/3 of the satellites operational are Starlink. Nameplate compute draw, 1.4 gigawatts. Yowzers.
It can't be that long since the whole world didn't use that much.
Well, let's see. Launches. Any highlights in the comments if you guys see any?
Yeah, I mean, I see the 66% year over year on connectivity revenues. Oh, yeah.
We're dropping down to 121 for some reason.
Is that because all news is bad news?
Who knows?
Yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, I was discussing what we expect from the earnings. And I said, well, they'll either be over or under. Therefore, the stock will go down because it doesn't seem to correlate to anything material as far as I can tell.
But we're still up 10% on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now.
It's a great earnings. I mean, again, revenue growing 92% and net loss $541 million versus $1 billion previously.
Yeah. While CapEx remains high.
It's a good point.
Added 1.7 million Starlink subscribers in the quarter. That's reasonably good with an average return per customer of flat. It has not gone down. Not as high as it used to be, but that's due to expanding into markets that cannot bear the higher costs. Consumer revenues,
SpaceX has $100 billion in cash and $48 billion in backlog.
What does backlog mean in this context?
James is posting, so he's doing something.
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I'll see if I'll send James a DM and see if he's available.
He's saying, why does Elon talk about Grok so much? And he's highlighting one of the numbers on AI, CapEx.
I'm not smart enough to get it. I'm sorry. Total costs. Yeah.
Tesla's holding up good, kind of just flat, literally. But SpaceX is down almost 3%.
Yeah. AI revenues up 213% sequentially, 247% year over year to 2.6 billion.
I wonder if that's including Cursor.
Have they paid for Cursor yet? Has it all gone through?
Another fantastic question that I do not know the answer to.
Yeah. Because it all changed, didn't it? They got 10 billion up front and then the rest at some point, and then they've changed and said, yep, it's all going ahead, but I don't know if it has.
So net loss, less than $500 million, or about $500 million.
Did you read the opening CFO remarks?
I did not. What do we got there? Something good?
It says, oh, you got it there. You can.
Yeah. It's been a momentous year so far. The second quarter demonstrated the true power of SpaceX. Revenue growth accelerated across all our business segments, and we delivered strong operating leverage with significant margin expansion led by our new AI compute agreements, our unparalleled leadership in launch, Starlink subscriber growth, new enterprise and government partnerships, and best-in-class AI infrastructure, which I would agree with, underscore our ability to drive meaningful scale and deliver attractive returns. As a newly public company, we are delighted to welcome our broad base of shareholders and bondholders. We ended the second quarter with 100 billions of cash equivalents, and marketable securities, and 47.5 billion in backlog. Still don't know what that means. So this financial strength gives us substantial capacity to invest in Starship, Starlink broadband, and mobile satellites, and our AI platform, while maintaining a disciplined long-term capital allocation framework.
SpaceX down 7% now.
Oh, market, you crazy.
Elon has just reposted 5 minutes ago on the NVIDIA partnership, which is interesting. The same Starmind V1 satellite design will be deployed on the ground as well. It will be the same design without, obviously, the solar and radiator. It will be liquid cooled, I guess.
Yeah, but it could be closed loop cooled.
Yeah, a major improvement in data center efficiency. So, yeah.
Very exciting stuff. Let's see. It represents future launch, defense, and Starlink business that is already booked, with Falcon 9 manifest reportedly filled out through 28 or 29. That would make sense. Look, we've got a high volume, reliable provider. Let's just get on the calendar so we can actually do this. In business, the backlog means the total value of signed contract and orders that a company has promised to fulfill but has not yet completed or collected revenue on. So this is upcoming deals. That might include a lot of the compute deals too. Those numbers would make sense at that point.
SpaceX have $100 billion of cash on hand.
It sounds like a lot when you say it that way.
I guess there's a chance if Starship goes quickly, they can always move some of those payloads onto Starship.
Only if they're going to the same. Well, yeah, actually, even if it flies,
some of them, not
even if it flies half empty, that's true. Yeah. You're not going to jam a big round satellite out through the Pez door.
What are we talking about again?
I would like to see that, but I'm not going to pay extra for that. So I would call all of this pretty good news, and we've got 12 minutes until the call.
Oh wow, the call's going to start that early,
isn't it? I thought this call started at 1:30 Pacific. So does it not?
Oh wow. Well, for the Tesla, normally it's like an hour. Remember?
That's true. That's true.
That's awesome.
We're still dropping down 7% after hours.
Are you not entertained?
I am entertained. Okay. Is it going to be?
Why doesn't it come with hints when you point at the price? It tells you why on the graph.
What?
Wait, what?
Why doesn't it say
this dollar was because of that and it could explain it, couldn't you?
It's a great idea.
It is a good one.
Shall we suggest it to whoever puts the charts out?
Definitely.
Or just have like a little like on X, they'll have like the little grok symbol. You can click it to give you more information. You should do that.
Slower Cuber wants to know if there's a way to say 100 billion to make it sound little. I mean, we could call it Lil Billy's.
Yeah, I like the way you
100
said it.
little billies. Yeah.
Or a little trill.
One Billie Eilish.
Yep. I think I'm, I don't remember that in my undergrad math studies, but I'm sure it was there.
And I should also complain.
Yes.
Because a billion used to be in the UK 12 zeros, not 9, I believe.
Oh.
But I think we've given in and used yours now.
In German, a million is a million, but a billion is a milliard. I'm like, what? And the billion was a trillion. So
Yes.
it's very confusing. Maybe you are also using milliards. So I don't know.
I've never heard that one.
Hey, John, how many ounces are in a pint?
16 fluid ounce in a pint.
Oh. So when you order a pint of beer at a pub, how much beer do they give you?
I think they still give you a pint. It's not moved to 500 ml yet. I don't believe. But if you buy it from the supermarket, it's normally in milliliters, 375 milliliters. It gets very confusing.
So an imperial pint appears to be 19.2 fluid ounces. The British
Imperial fluid
pint,
ounces?
No. Well, okay. Oh, you got to stop with that.
Or is it 20? I forget.
Pint is 20% larger than a US pint. It's 568 milliliters in the UK. So
and a gallon the same as well, isn't it? Same proportion, I guess.
I believe it is. So that's great. That's great. So we are holding steady on this. Let's jump to the comments here. The big difference is the backlog, the number surely most outsourced compute. I agree. I don't know what is meant by launch it from Thomas on X. Fun fact. Lucid reported today earnings per share miss.
Oh,
what are the odds
whoa.
of that? I know. I'm glad you're sitting down. I'm glad we all are. I made a video years ago called Lucid Insiders Say that the end is near. And that is true. That is what they told me. They were
Can you tell us who the insider is now?
No. Mostly because I don't remember his name off the top of my head. But it was not an executive. But they on that video, every now and then, including yesterday, I get comments from Lucid bag holders saying, I bet you feel stupid now. No, because I reported what I was told. Are you serious? Yes. Yes. Once a month, once every few months, I'll get a few comments from Lucid bag holders going, boy, you sure missed that one. I didn't. You're down 93% from when the video was made. I don't know what to tell you other than
just say scoreboard.
I mean, it was what I said was true when I said it. The concerns I raised have come true without, were it not for a homeopathic degree of dilution, the company would be gone.
Homeopathic, man.
Yeah.
We'd hard to talk about that.
Parts per million is what I'm talking about. It's what cures you. So it is, these guys are trying to tap dance. And I said, look, 3,400 plus videos, and that's the closest you can get to a mic drop. I'm doing pretty good. So.
And we mustn't forget, Falcon is still putting satellites up, another 24 an hour ago.
Okay, so what's your guys' exposure to SpaceX? Anything?
0 shares for me. I looked to get them at 135 in the pre-offering. Chase, JP Morgan Chase, where my retirement account is, did not offer it. And almost everyone I saw got allocations of 1 to 10. I talked to one person in the comments who I don't know who got 400 shares or claims to. I believe him. But I have no exposure. Yourself?
Hopefully 1,000 shares in next 2 weeks if we can stay around these levels, but we'll find out.
And will you?
Why hopefully? You mean you hope to buy them, or you?
I have short puts on, so
okay.
I won't get them once we stay in this level.
Well,
Yeah.
so with that in mind, I do have a question specific to you. I was glad you came for this reason, which is
Oh, is this an ambush?
SpaceX 330 calls dominate
Oh.
options ahead of earnings and amid short interest surge. For those who don't know, Nick has an options trading course that he provides periodically. And I will tell you, I had no fewer than 2 or 3 people come to me at the LA Diner and say, I took his course. It was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, obviously because it ain't cheap. So ahead of SpaceX first earnings report, there's some heavy stacking at 330. What on earth could that be about?
Yeah. The problem with this is it's hard to. Okay, so hold on. What's that say? Scroll up. 450,000 calls, 330 strike, followed by 14 calls at 150. The most populated put strike. But okay, 150 makes sense. That's just
Not that far from.
Yeah. But is there any expiration on these short?
The unusually large 330 call position could be there because of the upside protection purchased by short sellers ahead of the earnings.
Yeah, 100%.
Buying far out of the money calls allows short
100%.
sellers to cap potential losses.
Well, not even cap. They're trying to cheat, not cheat it. So what you do is like, if you let's just say everyone's used to cover calls with Tesla, right? Everyone has an idea of what a cover call is. But imagine you didn't own the shares, right? And you have that complete exposure to the upside. Well, something you could do is instead of just selling those calls wherever you want to do it, you could also really far away, you could buy calls, and now your risk is lower for your brokerage. So your brokerage won't require you to have this infinite amount of money. So that's where we would call it like a synthetic short. So you don't have that crazy exposure to like trick your brokerage into allowing you to do something. Mm-hmm. So that's probably what that is. So I wouldn't say that's anyone betting to the upside. I would say that's exactly what you just said, where people are trying to offset the buying power required from their brokerage by buying those, because now it makes it so that if it goes up against you, your downside is not unlimited.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So that's why one of the reasons we bring on an expert from time to time.
And I would never do that. That's insane. Well, I don't know. I don't like shorting companies like that in general. But
I shrug because I don't know any of that stuff. Nick, I should mention in a week and a half, I'm leaving for Nepal again. And I'd like to have you on sometime in the next week or so to get your thoughts on some things to help cover the gap while I'm gone.
Okay, awesome.
Great. Yeah, so I'll send you a message about that.
Sawyer's just posted the link to the live site.
Okay, I'm going to hit refresh.
Starting in theory in 2 minutes, I think.
By the way, John, we've never met, so pleasure to meet you, brother.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm on with you.
Cool. I've got to apologize. I have no idea what you're talking about with all these things. I see 330 call position, and that looks scary to me because that's much higher than. Is that what they're saying? Somebody's betting it will go that high?
It's more so they're offsetting the risk to allow the brokerage to allow them to take the downside.
Thank you. I have absolutely no idea what that meant.
It's essentially a spread trade that they have on.
Okay. Yeah.
So...
No, these things scare me. I'm a software engineer, and that's where I stay.
Oh, nice.
Other than philosophy.
What front end, back end? What do you do?
Well, I'm old.
Everything.
There wasn't a front end and a back end. It was PC software. and AI now writes it all for me. There's been a massive transformation since Christmas in this year that you let it do most of it for you now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Automated tests, hundreds of automated tests created in hours. It's like staggering. You still got to stop it doing really stupid things and just watch the architecture.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. And SpaceX is coming back down. Let's see. Let's get a little update here. Where are we at?
Did somebody just get a 2G phone too close to a microphone? It sure sounded like it, I swear. The old 2G sound that you would get coming through your speakers. Never mind.
Oh,
You mean
I think I
for
know what
us?
you're talking about.
Is it me pushing my ear back in or something like that?
Nah, it doesn't matter. Let's see. The only options I'm interested in is what's for dinner. I do not have an answer to that, JD. I apologize.
What will food be like on the moon? Will they be able to have a full restaurant, or is it going to be?
Have you ever had any of those like that space food, like
I
the?
haven't.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, as you can imagine, growing up in the Space Coast, like all these like little things you experience. But space ice cream, really good. Well, maybe not, but it is at the same time.
Well, right. It's fascinating. Hey,
Yeah.
Sydney's family wants to know, how much is this course?
Good afternoon, everyone.
1,997.
Second quarter 2026 earnings conference call. I'm Andrea Williams, Head of Investor Relations. Joining me today are Elon, Gwen, and Brett, and we are speaking to you
He's
from our
there.
facility in Bastrop, Texas. Our second quarter financial results were announced just after 3 p.m. Central Time, and all relevant materials have been published to our investor relations website at ir.spacex.com. For this webcast, our prepared remarks will be followed by a question and answer session. We will take live Q&A from equity analysts and then move to questions directly from our investors that were polled on our dedicated earnings Q&A platform. Thank you to everyone who submitted your questions in advance. During this webcast, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These statements are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC, including our final prospectus Form 10-Q. Additionally, during this call, we may discuss certain non-GAAP measures. In our press release and our filings with the SEC, you can find additional disclosures, including all reconciliations with comparable GAAP measures. For the second quarter of 2026, we announced the following financial results as compared to the prior year quarter. Revenues of $7.8 billion, up 92% from $4.1 billion. A quarterly net loss of $541 million, an improvement of $467 million, an adjusted EBITDA of $3.5 billion, up 191% from $1.2 billion. Now I will hand the call over to Elon for his opening remarks.
Thank you. So it's been another milestone year. Thank you. So it's been another milestone year for SpaceX so far. We're making great progress developing a fully and rapidly reusable, reliable rocket with Starship. We're connecting millions more people globally across 170 markets with fast, reliable Starlink internet. We're building AI compute capacity at scale faster than anyone else, we believe. And we're significantly improving our AI models, most notably with the release of Grok 4.5 last month. And now I'll dive into each of those topics separately. So with Starship, we completed 2 successful flights of Starship V3 in the past 90 days. Flight 13 demonstrated core capabilities necessary to achieve an orbital mission and return to Starbase for catch. And on Flight 14 will be our first flight to fly our version 3 Starlink satellites, our communication satellites, to operational orbit. We will try to actually catch the first and the second stage of Starlink V3 this year, and we could possibly catch the ship as soon as the next flight. And it's difficult to actually explain to most people just the incredible significance of Starship. And I think perhaps describing it in terms of tonnage to orbit is a good way to appreciate the magnitude of the impact Starship will have on the future of civilization. So right now, we deliver, call it roughly 2,500 tons a year to orbit via Falcon. And this is a big number by normal standards. The rest of the world, I think, delivers around 300 tons. So we deliver, 80 to 90% of total Earth mass to orbit per year with Falcon. Now with Starship, our aspirations, and I think we will achieve these aspirations, are to deliver well over 1 million tons to orbit per year, and probably ultimately 10 million tons per year. So this is not like if you had a chart where you plotted things, you would need a very, very big table to put the chart on to see, to even see any of our competitors on that chart, and to make that. So our next biggest competitor was 1 pixel high on the bar chart. You would still need a very big bar chart to represent the SpaceX Starship vehicle. And it's worth noting that we actually encourage our competitors to copy us. We do nothing to slow them down. We actually launch competing satellite constellations at the fair prices, the same price we charge everyone. So we do encourage our competitors to copy us, but it's quite difficult to copy something like Starship. But we don't use patents as sort of a landmine exercise to stop people from copying us. We actively encourage it. So, anyways, but when you think about it on that, so we go from 2,500 tons a year to 1 million, potentially 10 million tons per year. It's really a ridiculously profound difference. But that is our plan, and I think we will achieve that plan. Regarding Starlink, it's also worth just noting that the Starlink V3 satellite is about an order of magnitude more capable than the Starlink V2 satellite, which was already a very capable satellite. And we expect to launch about an order of magnitude more Starlink V3 satellites. So that would mean a roughly 2 order of magnitude increase in the delivered bandwidth. Even if our monetization per bit dropped by a factor of 10, that would still mean a 10x increase in the revenue of Starlink. So I think people are really underestimating Starlink here. So this is a big deal. It's kind of hard for people to wrap their minds around this, but like it's not out of the question that at some point Starlink will deliver a majority of the world's internet, at least in countries where we're allowed to operate, which is the vast majority of countries. So this is important to bear in mind, and it's not in like the infinity future. It's less than 10 years. With the advent of AI and humanoid robotics and vehicle robotics and just a massive number of robots, the appetite for bandwidth will be much greater than it has been in the past. If you think of a human consuming perhaps or producing perhaps about a few hundred bits per second of output, and actually the average human is outputting less than 1 bit per second over the course of a day, which is 86,400 seconds. Now, computers, could easily do billions of bits per second continuously over a 24-hour period. So this is why I would expect the appetite for bandwidth to grow dramatically with the growth of AI and robotics. And really, I think Starlink is the only thing that can actually service that bandwidth. Regarding AI, we're making rapid progress on Grok, because Grok 4.5 was a huge improvement. And we have Grok 4.6 coming out probably next week. And then Grok 4.7 is about 3 or 4 weeks from today. And we expect the cadence of AI development to improve dramatically. And then with Grok 5, which should be out before the end of this year, we will be incorporating the entire corpus of SpaceX data, basically all the data that SpaceX has ever produced, which is a tremendous amount over the course of a quarter century. will be incorporated into Grok training. And we think this will make Grok by far the best engineer. So this is, these are all like very, very big things. In addition, of course, we are providing compute to others, and we are building and deploying compute, I think faster, or our rate of growth certainly is faster than anyone else. And our efficiency of compute deployment, I think, is also the highest. So we expect to end this year with over 2 gigawatts of compute. And probably our cumulative compute online by the end of next year will be several times higher. So it may, let's say, be closer to 10 gigawatts of compute than 5 gigawatts of compute. That's a way to think about it. And going forward, we've decided to build exclusively on NVIDIA because we think the Vera Rubin architecture is the best architecture. We think it's the best AI computer, and we greatly value our close cooperation and partnership on many levels with NVIDIA. So we're exclusive to NVIDIA. And this new capacity coming online will obviously further benefit the development of Grok, as will our Cursor acquisition, which should close quite soon. I think we're through almost all of the regulatory hurdles. And then with respect to the StarMind AI satellite, which will be essentially an optimized Vera Rubin NVL72 computer. This is not some sort of far future distant thing. We expect to start launching these next year. And we think the design of the NVL72 VR computer is a much better design than is typical, than say having a standard rack style design. And so we expect to actually deploy this on the ground as well as in orbit, because we think it's going to be a radical simplification of the normal NVL72 rack. It will cost less, it'll be more effective. And so if we're going to put it in space, why not put it on the ground? So I think that's going to be pretty cool. In conclusion, the SpaceX team is solving some of the hardest engineering problems in the history of humanity. And I think the team is succeeding because I think we've got, in a lot of ways, the smartest, most dedicated team of humans that has ever existed. I'm incredibly proud to work with such a team, and I'd like to thank the team for their incredible hard work. And also thank you to investors who have supported us along the way.
Thanks, Elon. We had an exceptional second quarter, and today I'll focus on the operational and commercial highlights, as well as the initiatives we are prioritized going forward. Starting with our space business, we remain the leading launch provider globally, with 78 total launches and 1,041 tons of mass to orbit delivered in the first half of this year, primarily allocated to our own internal Starlink missions, but with great customer missions as well. While our launch capabilities are key to supporting our connectivity business, we continue to have a very robust commercial manifest and a very robust and growing US government mission demand, which drives revenue for the segment. We're currently launching at our highest Falcon cadence and are on the precipice of operationalizing Starship. As Elon said, the first 2 flights of our V3 Starship vehicles put us in an excellent position to achieve our near-term goals of reaching orbit, catching and reusing the ships and boosters, and deploying our V3 Starlink broadband satellites. Speaking of which, Starlink had a standout quarter driven by continued growth across our consumer, enterprise, and government businesses. During the second quarter, we added net more than 1.7 million Starlink subscribers globally, consumer. This reflects our best quarter of new customers to date, an increase from the 1.4 million we added during the first quarter. We achieved this by holding ARPU, which is the average revenue per user, stable at $66 per month compared to the first quarter. We ended the second quarter with service availability in 167 markets and have continued to activate new markets since then, with some very exciting announcements coming soon, maybe even as early as today. As of June 30th, our constellation of operational Starlink, broadband, and mobile satellites in orbit grew to roughly 10,200, with our 9,600 broadband satellites delivering roughly 800 terabits per second of total downlink capacity. Following a successful speed run test of the V3 Starlink satellites on the most recent Starship launch, during which we connected every satellite through every laser link, we intend to deploy V3 satellites into the constellation for operational use on the upcoming Starship missions. The significant amount of capacity we're able to add to the Starlink constellation from the V3 satellites will enable us to continue providing even better service. I think it's pretty great already, but to do so while serving more and more customers over the world. In fact, in the years ahead, we expect Starlink will represent a significant portion of global internet traffic, which Elon also talked about. We also see significant growth opportunities for Starlink in enterprise and government, on the enterprise and government side of the business. We believe revenue from these markets have the potential to reach a scale at least comparable, but likely exceed our consumer business as we continue to gain share. In the second quarter, we signed a major agreement with American Airlines, as well as activated our service with new partners, including Southwest, Virgin Atlantic, Iberia, and Aer Lingus. We have become the provider of choice among major airlines with outstanding customer feedback, but still have significant room for growth. In fact, we heard from one of our airline customers, shockingly, customers are flying shorter hop flights instead of direct, so that they could ensure that they're on a Starlink activated flight. They'd never seen this in the business before. On the government side, we won more than $6 billion in US contracts in Q2, supporting major Space Force programs that offer our nation mission-critical communications and sensing capabilities, and we see even more room for growth in this sector in this coming year. In Q2, we also launched the new Starlink mobile partnerships with international carriers, including SoftBank, NTT Docomo, and Spark New Zealand. Our near-term priority is launching mobile V2 satellites on Starship ahead of integrating the 65 megahertz of EchoStar spectrum later next year. This spectrum transfer was recently approved by the FCC and represents a foundational competitive advantage for Starlink Mobile. In AI, the industry is hurtling towards ever more compute demands. We're rapidly expanding our compute capacity to meet our own needs as Grok expands, as well as those for other leading companies such as Google and Anthropic. In terms of our own Grok models, the enterprise feedback on rollout of Grok 4.5 has been very positive so far. Token consumption tripled out of the gate after the July release, and we continue to see strong signals on usage and monetization for the model. We're looking forward to welcoming the Cursor team to SpaceX to integrate our engineering and begin to benefit from a combined sales capability. In review, our momentum as a business is extraordinary. Our engineering teams are scaling Starship and our next-gen satellites, while our sales teams expand Starlink, aviation, mobility, and global markets. At the same time, we're bringing on additional compute capacity and expanding and deepening our AI partnerships across a broader set of customers. And though I've been in this business for 24 years, I could not be more excited about the months ahead with all the exciting and amazing things going on. It really feels like we're just getting started all over again. Now I'll turn the call over to Brett.
Thank you, Gwen. We demonstrated strong results in Q2. Revenue growth accelerated across every segment. We narrowed our net losses by nearly half, and on a year-over-year basis, and we grew adjusted EBITDA meaningfully faster than revenue. Importantly, we significantly strengthened the balance sheet through our IPO and inaugural investment-grade bond offering. The combination of our global launch leadership, recurring Starlink revenue, and rapid growth in AI infrastructure continues to drive improved operating leverage. Now I'll walk through the financials for each segment. For the space segment, revenue grew 55% sequentially and 29% year over year to $962 million, driven by a higher number of larger customer launches and a favorable customer mix. Segment costs and expenses rose $389 million year over year, and we continued to accelerate R&D investments in our Starship program. Starship aims to quadruple payload capacity and reduce launch costs by 10 times compared to our Falcon 9 rocket, unlocking significant capabilities across all of our business segments. We continue to make progress building the infrastructure required to support thousands of Starship launches per year, including accelerating Raptor and launch vehicle production, the build out of our gigabays, and making significant progress towards activating multiple launch pads at Starbase and in Cape Canaveral at Pad 39A and Pad 37. Space adjusted EBITDA was a loss of $205 million for the quarter, primarily reflecting these higher R&D expenses. Moving to the connectivity segment, revenue was up in the connectivity segment by, was up to $4.3 billion, up 32% sequentially and 66% year over year. Growth was driven by record net additions of Starlink subscribers and a sharp increase in enterprise and government revenue. Starlink subscriber ARPU was $66, unchanged compared to Q1. As we continue our global expansion, we're taking a localized go-to-market approach that ensures our product and service offerings fit local needs. While our geographic expansion may drive down blended ARPU over time, we anticipate continued subscriber momentum to deliver strong revenue growth. Enterprise and government revenue grew 108% year over year and represents a durable source of revenue, contributing to strong segment margins overall. As Gwen mentioned, we see enormous opportunity for growth in this segment, as we remain, for example, less than 10% penetrated in one of the largest segments being aviation. Total costs and expenses for the connectivity segment increased $970 million, or approximately 58% year over year. The increase was driven by higher spend to support our revenue growth, including growth in our satellite constellation, increased R&D investment for our next-gen version 3 satellites, and incremental marketing spend. As Elon mentioned, our version 3 satellites are expected to deliver 10 times the amount of broadband capacity and data density from our current generations, which I think we believe are already pretty amazing, and which are essential to supporting continued subscriber growth and higher value service tiers. Income from operations from the connectivity segment increased 79% year over year to $1.7 billion, outpacing revenue growth and driving nearly 3 points of operating margin expansion. Connectivity segment adjusted EBITDA rose 64% year over year to $2.6 billion. AI segment revenue was $2.6 billion, up 213% sequentially and 247% year over year. The increase was driven primarily by new cloud services agreements, as well as growth in Grok and X subscription revenue. Advertising revenue grew 7% sequentially as we overhauled our advertising platform technology to enable AI functionality and enhance self-service for all customer types. In Q2, we entered into cloud services agreements providing access to compute capacity at our Colossus and Colossus 2 sites. The initial ramp from these agreements contributed $1.6 billion of incremental AI infrastructure revenue in the quarter. Total costs and expenses for the AI segment rose $1.6 billion year over year, reflecting increased R&D, primarily due to higher infrastructure spend as we accelerated compute deployment. We meaningfully narrowed our AI segment net operating loss to $1.3 billion and turned adjusted EBITDA positive for the segment in the second quarter at $1.1 billion. The incremental revenue from new hosting deals generated high incremental EBITDA margins as we monetized available compute capacity. We ended the second quarter with 1.4 gigawatts of nameplate compute, up from 1 gigawatt in Q1 and 400 megawatts a year earlier. We expect to end this year at over 2 gigawatts of compute capacity. Total company capital expenditures in the second quarter were approximately $18.4 billion, of which roughly $15.8 billion supported AI compute infrastructure. The remainder funded ongoing Starship and launch infrastructure, satellite production, and global ground station expansion. Additionally, we paid out $856 million during the quarter under our spectrum credit agreement related to our pending EchoStar transaction. Our capital allocation priorities remain clear and disciplined. We plan to continue to invest aggressively in the 3 areas we believe generate the highest long-term returns: Starship development and production scale, next generation Starlink broadband and mobile constellations, and AI compute infrastructure. Across all 3 of these investments, we remain focused on capital efficiency, return on investment, and preservation of a strong investment-grade balance sheet. The second quarter was transformative from a capital markets perspective. We completed our initial public offering, raising approximately $85.7 billion in net proceeds, and followed that with a $25 billion inaugural investment-grade senior notes offering that was partially used to repay our $20 billion bridge loan. The senior notes were issued across 5 tranches with a weighted average interest rate of 5.855% and average maturity of 11.7 years. We ended the quarter with $100 billion of cash equivalents, and marketable securities, and $47.5 billion in backlog. Looking ahead, we continue to see robust demand in all 3 of our business segments, but in particular in our cloud services arrangements. We see increasingly favorable economics with each agreement we sign, and as Elon mentioned, we expect the supply-demand imbalance in the compute market to continue. The current economics have translated into a less than 1-year payback on our new capital deployments for compute. For example, in the first few weeks of the third quarter, we've already contracted an additional $6.7 billion of cloud services revenue over a 6-month period that begins ramping starting in October of this year. We believe this puts us on a trajectory, including contribution from Cursor, to reach $100 billion of ARR, or annualized revenue run rate, by the end of this year, based on our expected revenue in the month of December of this year. With that, I'll turn the call back to Andrea.
Thank you, Elon, Gwen, and Brett. This concludes our prepared remarks. For today's Q&A session, we will take our first questions from the equity analysts. Please press *1 to join the question queue, and also please limit yourself to 1 question. Operator, please proceed with the queue.
We will now begin the question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press *1 to raise your hand. To withdraw your question, press *1 again. We ask that you pick up your handset when asking a question to allow for optimum sound quality. If you are muted locally, please remember to unmute your device. Please stand by while we compile the Q&A roster. Your first question comes from the line of Eric Sheridan with Goldman Sachs. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Thanks so much for taking the question, and thanks for all the details in the prepared remarks. Maybe just one on the connectivity segment. Can you discuss the backlog of enterprise and government contracts in that segment of the business, and how we think about that backlog converting into revenue, and what that might mean for the pace and cadence of growth in the next couple of years? Thanks so much.
Yeah, we are quite bullish on our enterprise activities. I mentioned alone that we received from the government over $6 billion in contracts. Those are you can look at those as tranches and beginnings of additional capability that we will bring online. Some of which we will have to compete, but fundamentally we have the contracts in place to fulfill many phenomenologies, both the ones we've recently announced as well as additional ones that we'll be working on going forward. Enterprise revenue is quite sticky. We have never lost an enterprise customer. They're quite happy with the Starlink capability that we have right now. Brett mentioned we are only 10% penetrated in the aviation industry, which definitely represents a lot of headroom for revenue going forward. Maritime, I think, is Starlink opens up the TAM dramatically. Starlink offers the capability that ships that don't really have much connectivity right now because they can't afford VSATs. We can basically outfit those ships with Starlink Maritime. So I'm quite bullish on enterprise, very bullish on government, and quite happy with the stickiness that we've seen in those markets.
Yeah, I'll just elaborate a little bit on that, which is that obviously in order to secure a large amount of enterprise revenue, you have to demonstrate and very high reliability, very high uptime. And in the early days, Starlink did not have high uptime. And there's a lot of enterprise customers, most enterprise customers, I'd say, that still have that maybe early Starlink experience where it was a little patchy. So we actually we're building up a large enterprise sales team just to go out there, meet with enterprise, basically corporate and government customers, show them the incredible uptime and low latency of the Starlink system today, so that they realize that they can actually treat Starlink as a primary provider, not sort of as a backup provider. This requires just going out there, talking to people, educating them about the current state of the Starlink system and where it's going. And I would expect enterprise revenue to substantially exceed consumer revenue.
Next question, operator.
Your next question comes from the line of Adam Jonas with Morgan Stanley. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Elon, first one for you. Just confirming, you said you expect to be closer to 10 gigawatts of nameplate compute by end of 27, closer to 10 than 5. Do you have line of sight? How confident is your line of sight on permitting, chips, and turbines for that? And then I have a follow-up for Gwen. Thanks.
So we're actually aiming to far exceed that gigawatt number in terms of power online, power cooling, and electrical equipment. So our tentative target is to actually have 20 gigawatts at the power and cooling level online by the end of next year. Now, I don't think we're going to achieve 20 gigawatts, but we want to have a series of projects that cumulatively come to 20 gigawatts by the end of next year. Some of them won't pan out exactly on time, but I would expect that we still probably have at the power plant level something close to 15 gigawatts. So assuming that maybe a quarter of the projects take longer than expected. So our goal is to have far more power, cooling, and electrical equipment than we have GPUs. That's like a logical thing to do given the relative expense of GPUs versus balance of system. SpaceX as a company is incredibly good at hardware. In fact, I'd say probably outside of China, SpaceX and Tesla are the two best companies on Earth at hardware. And I think perhaps even including China. So we're taking a small amount of the expertise that we use for rockets and satellites and applying that to scaling terrestrial data centers. We're finding that even a small amount of what we've learned building rockets, which are incredibly difficult, applied to data centers yields tremendous benefits. So yeah, we expect to have far in excess of the power and cooling that's needed. And then our understanding with NVIDIA is that we will receive a very significant percentage of their GPUs next year.
Okay. Thanks, Elon. Just Gwen, just a follow-up. You were recently asked what is one of the more underappreciated parts of the SpaceX investment story, and you said robotics. Can you elaborate on why you believe that? How do robots fit into the SpaceX TAM? Thanks, Gwen.
Let me try to put something together for you. I think what I might have said is underappreciating the amount of connectivity that we will need going forward. And I think robotics, especially robotics tied to AI, like for autos and humanoid robots, will dramatically increase the demand for connectivity. Dramatically. Elon talked about that in his remarks.
I mean, you can think about satellites as being robots. I mean, they're
Yes.
autonomous and they do not need servicing. So, and then, you know, in the sort of what may seem the far future, but will come faster than you think, you know, using robots on the moon to scale up manufacturing on the moon, which I know it sounds like super sci-fi right now, but it's going to happen, will enable us to build the mass accelerator on the moon. And if you have a mass accelerator on the moon and you have solar and radiator production on the moon, you can, I know this sounds totally nuts, but you can probably scale to 1,000 times the economy of Earth in terms of intelligence launched to space, but probably, you know, maybe even 1,000,000 times. So, you know, we are going to land a lot of tonnage on the moon. We're going to build the factories on the moon. The robots will be helpful with that. And then it's like, well, how much intelligence would you like as we, you know, grow towards being a Kardashev 2 scale civilization?
Did that get that for you, Adam?
Your next question comes from the line of John Godden with Citigroup. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my question. One of the hallmarks of SpaceX to date is how efficiently the organization has used capital so far in its journey. But it's also no secret that the capital needs are significant to support your vision from here. Obviously, the company's moving fast. So I was hoping you could talk a bit more about the CapEx outlook across the segments, touch upon any areas where buying versus building might accelerate growth. The mobile strategy obviously comes to mind there. And any related thoughts on capital needs for next steps in extreme vertical integration like Terafab, anything that's needed to support future growth. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. I think we are very proud of how we have managed capital allocation over the years, for sure. You know, I think we are continuing down that path, right? If you look at it, we have been very efficient to date, and I think we'll continue to be. You know, if you look at the rest of this year, to answer specifically on CapEx, I think you should probably think that the next 2 quarters are very similar to the current quarter from a CapEx level perspective. But I do think, you know, as you look at longer term, I think CapEx really, I think for our perspective is all CapEx is not the same, right? What we're seeing right now is a situation where we're able to deploy, specifically on the AI compute side, we're able to deploy capital in such a way that we're getting less than a 1-year payback. It's almost like your capital is becoming almost you know, an item that you would put otherwise in COGS because it's moving so quickly and as far as monetization and moving into revenue. That's different than I would say historically on the SpaceX level where, you know, we're building assets that are going to benefit us from launch sites for the next couple of decades. And so we certainly manage for, you know, optimizing ROI on our capital, you know, all the time from that perspective.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that. You know, as Brett mentioned, we are expecting to reach 100 billion plus ARR in December of this year. And it's probably also worth mentioning that our internal projections for reaching $1 trillion in revenue, not ARR, but revenue, have moved up from 2031 to 2030. So prior to the IPO, you know, financial projections we had were reaching $1 trillion in revenue in 2031. We now expect that to be in 2030. And there's a non-zero chance of that being in 2029.
Your next question comes from the line of Ronald Epstein with Bank of America. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Could you walk through what you learned on Starship Launch 13? What was better than expected? What was worse? And then, how do we think about this in the journey to kind of rapid reusability, the heat shields, so on and so forth?
Sure. So actually Flight 13, I was a little worried about that Flight 13, because think of Apollo 13, like things went wrong on that flight, but this flight actually went incredibly well. The heat shield appears to be very robust. The ship is still floating in the ocean, and we expect to recover the ship and bring it back for analysis. So I'd say things look very good. And that's why we, assuming we receive regulatory approval to do so, we'll attempt to catch the ship with the tower on the next flight, which is tentatively scheduled for the end of this month. We expect the cadence of flights to be increasing rapidly, and probably a year from now, we will be doing at least one flight a day, possibly more.
Your next question comes from the line of Doug Anmuth with J.P. Morgan. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Thanks so much for taking the questions. Elon, can you elaborate on the key unlocks from leveraging your rockets and satellite expertise just in accelerating the pace of compute build out? And then totally appreciate the $6.7 billion in incremental compute deals. Can you talk more about just how you expect the supply-demand environment to persist going forward, and whether you'll be able to keep this kind of premium pricing for these deals and sustainability? Thanks.
Sure. Well, as the saying goes, normally they would say this ain't rocket science. Well, actually, rocket science is literally our daily business. And rocket science is a idiomatic expression for extreme technological difficulty, and there's a reason for it. Because the thing, let me tell you what rockets desperately want to do every flight. They desperately want to blow themselves into tiny pieces. But then the engineering struggle is to convince the rocket not to blow itself into tiny pieces and actually deliver payload to orbit. But you'll note that some of our competitors do in fact blow their rockets up. This is not a reflection on their. This does not mean they're incapable. In fact, I think our competitors are very smart people. But despite being very smart, the rockets still blow up. So now, if you apply a small amount of the engineering skill that goes into making gigantic rockets reach orbit on a regular basis reliably to terrestrial data centers, this is like, frankly, the New York Yankees going in and playing a little league team, and it's kind of ridiculous, frankly. This is like the terrestrial data centers are a trivial problem compared to making gigantic reusable rockets, and which are launched frequently. And the Starlink satellites also are like alien level technology. There's still nothing that compares to our Starlink V2 satellites, and our V3 satellites are really more than an order of magnitude better than our V2 satellites. So you take a small percentage of that engineering, apply it to terrestrial data centers, and you get an amazing outcome. So that's what we're seeing. Yeah. Now, from a monetization standpoint, if you say what's my best guess for monetization per watt of say Rubens, my guess is would be somewhere between $30 and $50. This is just a guess. I'm just take a guess as a guess. But what we're seeing with AI is that the intelligence per watt is increasing rapidly. So that means the usefulness per watt is increasing rapidly. And I think anyone who's a close follower of the AI arena, you start seeing smaller and smaller models do more and more amazing things. There's an argument that we may get to the point where even an H100 is able to deliver useful AI that's comparable to a human engineer. Based on current trends, I think that's not an impossible outcome. So then it's like, how useful would that be? I think the usefulness is going to be extremely high. I mean, if you think of like, where was AI 12 months ago? I mean, this is 12 months ago, would have been August last year. That would have been before the advent of Claude 4.5, which I think should be considered one of the milestones and a credit to Anthropic. It was I would say a shock to the system was how good Claude 4.5 was. And that was, 10 months ago, basically. And if you say, well, what about an AI 2 years ago? I think, well, an AI 2 years ago feels like something that should be in a museum, okay? Where you're like, you're not going to believe this, but 2 years ago, this was AI. This relic. So I think, by the end of next year, it's not clear to me that there's anything that digital, at least, that AI won't be able to do, based on the current rate of improvement. Then look at the rate at which logic and memory is being produced. And one must always consider the limiting factor here. Limiting factor currently is memory. The memory output is increasing by around 20% per year. Now, normally that would be fantastically fast and amazing for any large mature industry. But ask yourself, is the demand increasing by 20% a year? No, the demand is increasing by 200% a year, maybe higher. So if you've got demand increasing much faster than supply, then economics 101 would suggest that the price increases. It does not decrease.
Your next question comes from the line of Edison Yu with Deutsche Bank. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hey, good evening. Thank you for taking our question. Wanted to come back on the comment about the 100 billion in ARR. Is there any way you can unpack that a little bit and perhaps kind of what it takes to get there? And then in relation to that, Elon, I know you mentioned you pulled the revenue target forward by a year. Can you maybe call out maybe a few things that gave you this extra confidence? Thank you.
Well, on the unpacking, I think that the key there is it's really growth in all three of the business segments. But the biggest piece is, and we already talked about, additional business we've already closed in the first couple of weeks of July on the AI cloud services side. But certainly, as you know, we've already announced some previous deals with Google and Anthropic that start to ramp either later this quarter or in October. And so there's a lot of momentum from that side of the business, as well as we're seeing strength in our own models and Cursor coming into the fold as well. So it's really all three segments that are driving that, but the cloud services piece being the largest contributor of that piece.
Yes, to be clear, the 100 billion ARR in December is not a question mark. That's what we would achieve if we basically did nothing. So I think it may be higher than that. It probably will be higher than that. I think in terms of the relative percentage of breakdown of like what revenue generates what, I think the breakdown is probably similar to what we shared pre-IPO. It's just happening a year sooner. I will go back to what I said and what Gwen and Brett mentioned earlier, which is that we do expect a very rapid increase in revenue from Starlink communications from the V3 satellite. Because like I said, it's more than 10 times the capability of the V2 satellite, and we'll be launching 10 times as many, and we have the direct to sell constellation going up as well. So, sometimes people are looking at the sort of historical growth of Starlink based on V2, but we have a step change, a massive step change happening with the V3 satellite.
Your next question comes from the line of John Hodelick with UBS. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Great. Thank you. Two things. First, Elon, just following up on that comment on Starlink Mobile. When do you expect to start launching the V2s? Can you talk about your appetite for additional spectrum after the EchoStar deal? And then just how big do you think that the opportunity is in mobile? And if you could compare that to the broadband business, that would be great. And then secondly, just a quick follow-up on the compute. Looks like you have a big ramp in compute coming in 2027. How should we think of that capacity being leased versus used for to train Grok? I guess in other words, how much of that has to be withheld to train Grok versus that can be leased out to third parties? Thanks.
I'll go ahead and take the Starlink Mobile questions, John. We're going to start flying the next generation Starlink Mobile satellite. It's confusing. It's actually the second version, as opposed to the V3, which is the broadband, next generation broadband satellite. We're going to start flying those next year. And just so you understand, currently the system that we're operating uses about 5 megahertz of bandwidth. And we operate that through local telco providers. We have 65 megahertz of bandwidth available to us through the EchoStar spectrum, which gives massive increase in capability. Another way to look at it is we were also probably 10x the number of satellites. So simplifying, you could look at the Starlink Mobile leveraging this, the next generation satellite and the EchoStar spectrum as being 100 times better, 10 times 10 better than what we've got right now. And it's a pretty decent service. You can do voice and video calls over Signal and WhatsApp. So we anticipate really strong uptake of that capability. As far as revenue, I'm just going to take a very high level kind of top down. The big three in the United States, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mo, roughly between them $600 billion a year. And I anticipate us to be able to acquire quite a few of their customers because I think our service will be better. We will eliminate dead zones, leveraging basically the satellites in orbit. It'll be better during any sort of natural disaster because surprisingly, even though space movies make space look super dangerous, is a pretty quiescent environment. So I'm quite excited about Starlink Mobile going forward. We will start to fly the satellites next year, and we will start providing service end of next year.
Yeah, to ask,
You're next.
I guess I should elaborate on. We obviously have more than one question being asked here, but obviously if somebody's trying to create a financial model, some of these questions are you have to plug in some number here. So for Grok training, we do expect the percentage of compute that we use internally for Grok training to decrease over time and to have far more of the compute used for inference or for renting training and inference compute to others. So I would expect maybe 10% of our compute to be used for Grok training, something like that.
Your next question comes from the line of Katgun Marl with Evercore ISI. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, and thanks for taking the question. I had a follow-up on Starlink Mobile and your ambitions in the U.S. market in particular. I think a lot of us are trying to better understand what a U.S. direct-to-consumer service could look like. To become a true fourth U.S. carrier would imply well over $100 billion of mobile capex over time, much of it auction spectrum and greenfield infrastructure. So how are you weighing that potential build plan against an MVNO or acquisition path? And what's your internal base case on how far you'll take this ambition? Or is this all a little bit too premature at this point? Thank you.
The spectrum that we purchased from EchoStar does have terrestrial components, so we definitely intend to build out the terrestrial component. So you will have not only the capacity from the satellites themselves, but you will have a build out of the terrestrial, basically the hardware and systems necessary to make a true mobile service exactly what you want it to be. I'm not going to talk about the CapEx for that. It's a little, well, I don't want to say it's immature. I'm just going to say I'm not going to talk about the CapEx for that right now. But let's talk a little, let me give a little hint, and that is you could put a base station, a cellular base station on basically the gear that holds a Starlink broadband dish. So you can have kind of these little femtocells around the country, and you deploy that as you need it. You don't have to necessarily spend, 10 or many billions of dollars in low band spectrum all upfront before you deploy your system. So that's why I don't want to talk about the CapEx for building out the terrestrial, because we have a lot of really kind of great and new ideas for how we're going to do that. And I think it will be quite CapEx efficient.
Yeah, that point is probably worth just a few more words, which is that because this is quite an important point. Instead of having to deploy these very expensive and difficult to locate large cellular base stations, we feel reasonably confident that we can deploy a large number of sort of small stations, essentially, that they're really just Starlink dishes that also provide connectivity in the mobile spectrum bands, and have them be all over the place. And the Starlink antennas are located on the roofs of houses and businesses. So they're, it's that they've got a sort of a clear view to for providing connectivity directly to cell phones on the ground, and in fact providing connectivity that is, we think, probably better and higher bandwidth than what is currently available from cellular providers. This is an important point.
Thank you. With the remaining time, we would like to cover some of the questions from individual shareholders. I will read them aloud. We got a lot of questions on the progress for Starship Human Landing System. Can we provide any updates?
For Starship, well, obviously we need to make Starship super reliable for satellites before we put any people on board. But we are expecting to have a very high launch rate and thus achieve a level of safety needed for humans very quickly, probably by the end of next year.
As far as the milestones go, propellant transfer in orbit is critical to our both our internal SpaceX as well as our HLS ambitions. Artemis 3 mission is next year. That's where we will dock with the Orion spacecraft. We will follow that up with a direct to lunar cargo mission, uncrewed. And then we want to put boots on the ground, boots on the moon in 2028.
For the Cursor acquisition, there were several questions asking about the combined product roadmap for the companies once it closes.
I think we'll leave that to, we'll probably make some announcement or discussion of that outside of the earnings call. But we don't want to jump the gun on regulators for the closing the acquisition. So we're trying to get the acquisition closed as quickly as possible. I think we're pretty close to that, but we have to be wary of sort of jumping the gun on regulatory closures.
Next question from the individual shareholders. Once you start launching broadband V3 satellites, how quickly will they translate into improved Starlink service?
Well, so we'd need some critical mass of V3 satellites, probably at least on the order of about 1,000. But probably that's, I mean, approximately second quarter next year would be, I think, where we'd get to that point.
And our last question, is the heat shield the hardest remaining problem for Starship?
Look, I don't want to jinx it or anything, but I think I'd consider the heat shield problem solved at this point. Now we want to take a close look at the ship that is currently floating in the ocean, but all indications from data and our visual inspection suggest that that we have solved the heat shield problem, which is arguably the single biggest problem. That doesn't mean we won't make improvements to the heat shield. Of course, we'll continue to make improvements to the heat shield, but I would say that we do not see any technical obstacles at this point to achieving full and rapid reusability.
Thank you. This concludes today's call. You can reach us at ir.spacex.com, and we will see you next quarter. Cheers.
This concludes today's call. Thank you for attending. You may now disconnect.
We got some SAT words in there. We're doing pretty good. That's helpful, of course. And we are now into the recap. Before we get into the recap, I wanted to mention that for those who don't know, I'm about to leave town on an exciting trip to Ethiopia. Why? Yeah, why wouldn't I do that? And then I'm Nepal in a few weeks, Ethiopia in December. Big, exciting places. I don't know what you're thinking. Why on earth would I use ChatGPT to generate an image when I could have Grok make this? What? Who? What? Okay, fine. So,
resemblance is uncanny.
Uncanny. I mean, in both cases, but I'd rather be a fit young Asian man, I suppose, than it doesn't matter. I am very pleased that your face blindness has once again made me someone better than I am. So some exciting stuff in there, some interesting stuff. We did learn that, I mean, I don't know if you heard about how they're handling our poo, but they are obsessed with our poo, and our poo is solid. So that's all good, I suppose. What was some big takeaways you guys heard?
Wasn't everything big?
Yes, I'd say for me, it's that Starlink V3 could handle not just becoming the largest ISP, current largest ISP. There's two of them in China, over 300 million subscribers, but it could be bigger than both of them combined quite easily. And it's just math. It's just math. Do you have the bandwidth? Yes. You're in 160 markets. I'll point out that that is not 160 countries, but markets, and growing. So there's a lot of room left to grow if you have the satellites, and they will.
And they're talking the V3 satellites, enough of them by second quarter next year.
That is, yeah.
Which is just under a year. And they were saying one launch a day in 12 months' time. That's staggering.
Yes. Solo said, I heard they're going to 5x compute. And we've also got Jerdobi saying, come on, Nick, don't hold back your thoughts on excited Elon.
What?
This is, I imagine, one of your viewers.
Oh, I think, yeah, I was all over X. That was quite the opposite call from what we had with Tesla.
First of all, I could hear everyone clearly when Gwen whispered, is Adam off the call? I could hear it as great. And it sounded good. And I mean, there was reasonable organization to it. It was great.
Okay. Elon literally said, they're asking a bunch of questions and people need something to plug in for their numbers. Since when does Elon care about what people need to plug in for their numbers?
That is also a good question. In terms of the heat tiles, that was an answer we needed. There were questions that were raised when we finally saw the damage to the heat shield, to the tiles. They held up well, but there was the white powder from the leading edge of each tile. That is clearly something ablating from beneath. That's not ideal, but
Who
if it's
complains
within
about white
tolerance.
powder?
I know. I said maybe it's space cocaine, but apparently that's not a thing.
The space cane?
Come on, it's got to be, right? Why else? Yeah, why else would so many people spend so much money exploiting space? So it is where Elon's passion is focused. I don't know if that's true,
but he actually said it's probably solved the heat shield. So
yeah,
they're confident that they've got through all the major issues.
I think what it means is that they can use it 3 times, 10 times, 50 times before it needs to be addressed. And during those times, they can work on the next generation, which we know they will already be doing anyway.
And the question was wider. It was, what are the remaining issues? And that was the only one discussed, which you would indicate there are no remaining.
Slower Cuber says, booster, maybe booster relight, but no, we have not. I have not heard an answer for that yet.
But I mean, in terms of hard issues, that there might actually be physical limits they're hitting.
Oh, I see.
They've actually solved. Yeah.
When we saw the flaps burning through, I questioned if this approach was viable. And then they just moved them a bit and shielded them differently, and they appear to be performing just fine. And you can tell by how uniform the plasma field is that the ship produces that it is going to plan. So that's great. Laminar does want to say, visit Starbase if you haven't. No place on Earth like it. And we've been telling you for years, the access will continue to get more restricted. You never know when your last opportunity to get that close to them will be.
If you look at it in a year's time with 1 launch a day, that's going to be busy. I mean, that's several sites, but the roads will be closed pretty much all the time. I don't know if that's a challenge with the beach and things.
Yes. And there is a bit of a legal issue to it because it's supposed to be an unrestricted beach access kind of park, but it takes a pen to change the classification and just shut it down. And for national security reasons, they may do it. They may do that.
But exciting. Lunar cargo by the end of next year, 2020.
We do have a request. Let's talk the numbers. Any particular numbers that you guys want to talk about? Because we're so early in it and the numbers are so big that talking about them, I fear, would make me sound like a crazy person.
No, the main points that you're going to see on CNBC tomorrow, 100 billion in ARR already, annual recurring revenue, 100 billion just for renting out their compute. That's ridiculous. Number 2, break even on their investments, on their CapEx investment in 1 year. S tier, God tier level of break even would be 3 years, not 1 year. So that's ridiculous. And am I the only one that heard Gwen say that they might have an announcement after the call later today?
Yep, she did.
If you had told me yesterday, look, Brian, for real, it's going to be a 2-year payback on those investments, I'd have said, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's half that. So that's, a little bit exciting. Has the market moved? Are we looking at the post market?
It's gone down a little more.
We did see a brief appearance by a dead cat there. That's always something worth celebrating. But it's gone down. That tells me it was good news. It always goes down. Stocks always go down on good news.
Exclusivity with NVIDIA, that was a big deal.
Yes.
And why is that a big deal? Because that once again confirms, and I've been saying this for a while, that Elon will continue to get the latest and the best from NVIDIA before anyone else. And this
Oh, yeah.
exclusivity guarantees it. Nobody has Rubin. Elon has Rubin.
Well, what about AI 7, AI 8? Are we talking long term? Are they giving
Well,
up
this
on-
is just for inference. This is just for
Training,
the
training.
The
just
upcoming.
well, obviously not the cars, but yeah. But they were
Well, that's
talking about AI 7, etc., for the training as well. Eventually,
That's pretty far
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah, consider
Yeah.
that like Dojo. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nice if it works out. It will
Yes.
work out for the vehicles and will work out for Optimus to compete. If anything, I almost bet you that this changes kind of their plans with all that, because they sign into. I mean, okay, with the Tesla earnings call, we heard him talk about Micron, thanking Micron directly for what they've been able to do together. And now with NVIDIA, he is locking up suppliers 100%. And he's thanking them on the calls. He's calling them out on the calls. Listen to these calls. Listen what Elon's saying. That's the place to be investing right now.
Well, the crazy thing is, if you're NVIDIA, you want your chips to get out and get into use as quickly as possible. And I don't want to sell them to XYZ, AI company who will
Chatbot company. Yeah.
who will build them in a year, who will have it online in a year, when I can sell it to a company that can have it online in 30, 40 days
Not
from
just that,
delivery.
but making breakthroughs, huge strides, revolutionary things with it. Because NVIDIA GPU, you want that to be tied to the latest and greatest and biggest breakthrough of AI, not just, I got another chatbot on my website. Cool.
I mean,
Great.
super. That's, yeah. Yeah, that's
and what
fair.
about 15
Get my blue
to 20
pills sooner.
gigawatts?
Right.
Yeah, 15 to 20 gigawatts of power ready for those extra chips as fast as they can build them.
Okay, but come on. Am I crazy? Gwen said something about announcement after the call. Like, are we?
Yeah, she did.
Like,
No, she did. Another one possibly today, she said. Yeah.
Did anyone tell her that I'm busy later? Because I can't probably cover it.
I don't think fit young Asians are her type, Brian.
I don't know if anyone came in too late to catch that, but I will show it again. This is the picture we're discussing here. I'm going to Nepal in a couple weeks, Ethiopia in a couple months, and all your support helps. These are countries with very exciting electrification stories. Ethiopia has dammed the Nile, 5.3 gigawatts of power from the Grand Renaissance Dam. And they are sick of sending their petrodollars overseas. They banned the import of passenger and light duty gas burners in 2024. How's it going? I don't know. I'll let you know soon enough, but it's very exciting stuff. And that was the picture that AI decided I am. And you can tell it's me. You can absolutely tell it's me because I'm wearing a hat that says Futuraza. That's me, right? Pretty sure it is.
I recognize you by the triceps, but whatever.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's weird because last time you said it was the glutes, but okay. So
no, last time it was by the nipple to nipple hug we had.
That's so. First of all, you're a foot taller. That was my face. So also thank you for that. There's a reason you bought
you motorboating son of a gun. What movie? Come on, what movie?
Wedding Crashers. So
Very
it's
good.
2.5 hours we've been doing this. I'm a little punchy, so it's gotta be explained.
Me too. Wait till I get on with Randy.
Oh Lord, yes, that's also how it works.
What about a quick little look at the AI? Grok 5 by the end of the year. We should have some Optimus. It's going to be the best engineers in the world. I mean, what is an Optimus going to be capable of with that inside it?
Well, we don't know. We're having a little side chat, me and a viewer, about the people that we may or may not know who work for Tesla and work on Optimus, and how exceptionally tight-lipped they are, and how they have been very good at keeping it under wraps. And what we do know for certain is what Optimus 2 and 2.5 can do in a limited context. What we don't know is any of the improvements in the last year and a half, 2 years that make it ready for commercialization at the end of this year. And that is where all the magic is. People are too ready to compare it to the latest demo out of China while ignoring that 2 years of progress has happened since you've really seen what Optimus can do. You're almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in October. So
and
there's
it will be all of the new motors, all of the new, everything designed from scratch, scalable, etc.
Reasonable to assume, all reasonable to assume. And to the
What-
people
what
saying
about-
it'll never work, I say, great, then it doesn't matter if you believe or I believe. It's either going to happen or not going to happen either way.
What about the other way around? Was there anything in there that was bad news? I didn't see anything.
Oh.
So why is the stock down still?
Because the market is irrational.
Or it's rational.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're the rational ones.
Yeah. Yeah. All true. Anything else we need to get to? Anything else the audience needs us to get to? Now is the time to mention it. I need to mention that Nick Gibbs has a wonderful channel called Investing Against the Grain. If you haven't checked it out, you should. Your viewers are here in strong numbers. Thank you guys for hanging out. Subscribe to him there. And for that matter, if you're on Nick's channel, you can check out mine. Future Oz as listed right there. Right there, it says it. And I do constant videos, all that. And I'm fun.
I can't hear you say it without hearing this music. I say this to you every time. I just,
Yeah,
every
yeah.
single time in my head. It's,
Yeah.
you brainwashed me. You
We-
programmed me.
We do have to mention the lockups are coming, and I've got an article here about that. We've got a bunch of lockups expiring. So let's talk about that real quick. Are you worried about it, Nick? The first lockup opens 2 days from now. After 2 days after the earnings call, that was today. And so this is all about that, but where is it?
No, I'm not worried about it. But honestly, I was more worried just about this earnings call. I actually think this was a wow for a first earnings call ever. This was no notes. This is absolutely beautiful. I don't think the market yet understands what 100 billion ARR in compute and CapEx. I mean, this is the earnings call that they wanted Meta to have, and Zuckerberg didn't tell them. They talked about where the CapEx is going. They talked about where the ROIC is going to come from, and they talked about when. They talked about all of it. And then as far as the lockups go, here's the thing. The markets are interesting. Markets are forward-looking. So while we don't know what individuals are going to do when they are allowed to buy or sell after their lockup window, one, I don't think a lot of these SpaceX investors or institutional private equity investors are going to just sell out at these levels, especially when they know what the roadmap is. They've had opportunities to lighten up every 6 months prior to going public. So there's been a lot of opportunity there. Again, maybe some will, but I don't think it'll be really that meaningful. And I think the market's really good at factoring a lot of this stuff in ahead of time. If anything, I mean, call me crazy, I kind of think that the market might have, or SpaceX might have sold off more so in anticipation for this. But also remember, as that unlock happens, the indexes have to also add or get to add to their allocation. So there's a lot of dynamics here, but I think everything gets bought up pretty quickly and efficiently. But that's just my take. We'll find out together.
We will. I have seen people say, oh, the employees, the early investors, none of them will sell. Well, I would agree that few will sell the majority of their holdings. But I think it's crazy to assume that a whole lot of the employees wouldn't sell some percentage to have some cash to reward themselves for the years of hard work, the years of patience and dedication, whether it's just money they put in or their blood and sweat. So it is, but it wouldn't be a huge amount is what I'm saying.
But even then, like there's other things that you would probably prefer to do at this point, at these levels. You could take out a loan against it. You could just sell cover calls to get income. And if it doesn't get up to that, then hey, you got your money and you didn't have to sell your shares. Like there's all kinds of better things you could do rather than just selling the stock at these levels. So and I have to imagine that inside SpaceX, they're doing some type of education for a lot of these people, if they're employees, if they're funds or VCs or whatever. they already know everything I'm saying.
Well, I will tell you that as a former banker, I would see a lot of employees who came in, and I get to see all their finances when they apply for a mortgage. And I would see people who would have stock options in tech companies who would liquidate all of it every time as soon as they could. At 33% vested, they'd cash the whole thing out. And that sounds crazy. There were only a handful who did that. There were a lot more that would cash it out in full as soon as it was 100%. But then the dot-com bubble crashed, burst, and a lot of those idiots who were taking a 70% haircut were the only ones who walked away with money. So I am not comparing SpaceX to, pets.com, but there could be a massive, massive bubble burst, and the big dogs are unlikely to falter. The well-moneyed AI companies are going to remain well-moneyed. It doesn't reduce the demand for the product. It just reduces the number of players capable of selling to them. So I think SpaceX would come out a real winner in a scenario like that.
Yeah, and I don't think that there can be a AI bubble bursting, because there is no buildup in that bubble. Forward PEs are very low. Earnings are very big and bountiful. These companies are making crazy amounts of money with crazy growth, and we have not seen the PE multiples grow the way they did during the dot-com bubble. That was the exact inverse. It was extreme, inflation of price to earnings ratio with no earnings. This is the exact inverse, which makes this extremely strong. So if there's anything that any type of bubble that bursts, it will be a leverage bubble, because people are getting over their skis, just like we saw in South Korea and we saw with situational awareness fund. But that, in my opinion, is nothing to do with the AI investments in the companies. That is just a leverage issue, which we see happen time to time.
I will tell you another thing that made the dot-com bubble more tenuous is that the companies were doing a weird bit of triangle trading of imaginary money, where the three of us are three different companies, and I'm going to give you $3 million a month for something, and you're going to give it to John, and he's going to give it to me. And then and we're going to do this all directions all the time. And the first company that ran out of cash said, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is cancel all these outgoing expenses. And then all of their money dried up. And then all of the imaginary floating money disappeared. It just disappeared because none of it was ever real. And anybody at an executive level in any of those companies should have known better, and nobody went to jail. But that's, the American way.
Yeah. Today, Gavin Baker dropped a podcast or interview that he was on. I can't stress enough that people should go watch it. He is literally out this entire month out in SF and SV, or San Francisco, Silicon Valley. And he's meeting with all these companies and just trying to get a beat on what, trying to challenge himself and what he thinks is happening. And essentially, he talks throughout this on how the AI demand is insatiable right now. Essentially everything SpaceX just said, and that the market is kind of missing it with the whole July sell-off that we saw. And essentially what he's saying is that right now, companies are renting out GPUs per hour at about $2 an hour. And right now, a lot of those leases are ending, and they have to renew the leases, and they're hoping to be able to get it only $4 an hour rather than $2. That's how much things are increasing in price in just a matter of 6-7 months. So the demand is just ridiculous right now. So it's a fantastic interview. This is literally what this is his specialty that he did at Fidelity, was in the semiconductor space. So he's very knowledgeable. But it was a fantastic interview. I cannot stress enough. Everyone should go watch it. It's good for your market awareness, just to take a beat, understand what's happening in this space right now.
Interesting stuff in the chat. Okay. And by the way, when I said Nick has an options course, he doesn't pay me. So that was also a sincere comment.
Thank
So
you.
guys, in the chat, anything else we should cover? There was a lot in there. A lot of it is exciting. Obviously, this means the Tesla phone is real. That's not what it means. That's not what it means, guys. Don't get excited. It is designed to be used with regular phones that are already either deployed or in development. Companies like Samsung, companies like Apple will make sure their devices are compatible. It's bandwidth that's already allotted for the cellular spectrum. So
Nick's sweater. That was my
Yeah.
Chamath sweater, everybody.
okay.
You know, I actually have a theory on that.
On your
I don't know
sweater?
if
Yeah,
you-
go
you
ahead.
No, I don't know if you're wrapping up or not, but
No, I mean, we can do whatever.
No, so I have a theory. So I don't think SpaceX or Tesla are going to be making a phone. Actually, I think what SpaceX will do is make a home device. And what I think is going to eventually happen is that the idea of Grok will be to not make money off Grok. Instead, I think the idea will be Grok will be it will be no different than the supercharger network, where it's a necessity for the fleet, for FSD, for autonomy. And yeah, obviously they want to break even. If they can make a little money, great, but that's not the goal. And so I think the idea of Grok is just to be the connective tissue through everything, whether it's your car, your phone, your Optimus, your computer, or a device in your house. And so if you can get Grok to be what stitches everything, and you can carry a conversation from something you're typing on your computer to your car, to you get out of your car in your Home Depot, and you just ask like, hey, what was that product number again? Or what aisle was that thing in? You know, and so you just have this almost omnipresent of a LLM. The beauty is that SpaceX or Tesla, or maybe when they merge the company, they have all these other mechanisms to generate revenue and profits. They can offer Grok at cost. This is the ultimate competitive moat against an OpenAI, an Anthropic, or anyone else. Whereas they have to make money on their LLMs, and they're frantically trying to figure out how to create apps rather than just make money off their tokens. Hence why you see Anthropic trying to get into all these spaces and freaking out the whole software world. So I think this is the next step. That's all that SpaceX is missing, is something in the home, kind of like your Alexa or whatever, their own spin kind of thing. And I don't think they're going to make a phone, because why make a phone and go down that avenue when, hey, let's just cut out AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and make a direct relationship with Apple direct to the phone, or with Samsung direct to the phone, and cut out the middleman. We both get margin, and hey, life's good. I could see something like that.
That's exciting. I think that's all possible, because there's a big chunk of the equation that you don't want to deal with, that I don't want to deal with, and that's the customer.
Yeah.
Great. Let's let Apple do it. Let's let Samsung do it.
They're great at it.
They're great at it. They're great at it. Samsung, I have had issues with Samsung appliances in the past. I don't trust them the way I used to, which is unfortunate, but what are you going to do?
Oh, hold on.
That's their problem.
What's happening here?
I'm trying to imagine what CERN's charts are going to look like. If we've got 10 gigawatt of compute next year,
right,
and it
that's
only
insane.
takes
That's
only 1 year to pay for it. So what's the profit the year after? As it begins to compound, it's going to be crazy.
And 10 gigawatts, by the way, is greater than the production of some countries, which is its own problem, but not one I'm qualified to address. Did something happen, Nick? Is something going on?
I don't know. Hold on. Hold on. Stand by.
All right. Let's see.
No, there's just weird action in SpaceX right now.
Well, there's also, for those curious, weird action in this channel. So check that out.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I think this is as good a place to wrap it as any. 2 hours and 43 is sufficient. To those in the poll earlier who guessed 1 to 2 guests, you guessed correctly. To those suggesting it would be in the 40s to 60s, I don't know what you were thinking. It would have been pretty epic, but also sheer chaos. A lot of fun. So, guys, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? If you're catching this on the replay, you gotta let us know in the comments. Everyone else, like, subscribe, do what you do. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots. on the flippity flop.
Goodbye. See you soon.
Stay